state of play to wow the fans. But in 2025 they fell. Their showcase didn't go so well. Sony Blue, it's what a shame. Live service games, they're all the same. Marathon Fair Games, Horizon 2, all a flop, what can they do? Marathon's a sci-fi bore. Plagiarism caused an uproar. Alpha tests, they got no love. Sony's dreams fell from us. Sony Blue, it, what a shame. Live service games, they're all the same. Marathon Fair Games, Horizon 2, all a flop, what can they do? Fair Games clunks, it don't feel right. Heist games stuck in endless night. Horizon Online, oh, it's a drag. Multiplayer's just a laggy snack. They try to chase that love gain gold, but Concord's fall left stories told. 6 games left, they're cut in half. Sony's path just makes us laugh. Sony Blue, it's what a shame. Live service games, they're all the same. Marathon Fair Games, Horizon 2, all a flop, what can they do? State of play, you let us down. No hype, no spark, just a frown. Sony pivot, try anew. Single players where you grew.
I drove my rusty pickup to the local game store door. Starfield gleamed upon the shelf, couldn't wait no more.
Shout out to the chess club.
Todd Howard spun his stories of galaxies afar, but when I fired up that game, I didn't get too far. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. They boasted endless planets, each one unique and new. But after planet number 3, I'd seen a deja vu. The critics didn't love it, gave it mediocre scores. Just another space misfire echoed across the boards. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. I searched for epic battles, but the AI wouldn't fight. Characters were wooden and the dialogue was trite. Todd promised me the cosmos, but left me in the dust. Now I'm trading in this game, it's betrayed my trust. Oh, Todd, you weaved a fable of worlds beyond compare, but all I got were glitches and load screens everywhere. Still somehow I'm considering when the next game's not, 'cause hope's a stubborn thing, and I'll give it one more try. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I'll always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true.
Well, everybody. I'm back. Sorry for the late stream. I was caught up playing a game, which probably is going to end up taking game of the... I'm kidding. No, it's Mind's Eye. I mean... Shocker! This is my surprise face for Mind's Eye, okay? Pretty good, right? Color me surprised, my friends. Didn't end up being a masterpiece. Who would have thought? Yeah, it's the game of the time. Well put. Well put. How are you guys? How are you guys doing? It's been too long. I've missed you. But I'm back now. It's okay. Real quick, shout out to Loxy. Just subbed at tier 2 for 6 months in advance. It's getting hot in here. Thank you, Loxy. That's very, very generous. You're on a 9-month streak, my friend. Glad to have you. Thank you for that. Pugsy also just subbed over on Twitch. That's fantastic. Thank you. And Boone, 15 months. Ooh, baby, indeed. What did you think of Ahoy's announcement / trailer? To me, it looks Star Citizen-esque with sails. Hope you enjoyed SGF2, Luke. Yeah, it does seem interesting, honestly. I mean, you know me, pirate stuff. So anything pirate related, I'm here for. I'm here for it, I'll tell you what. And yeah, SGF was cool. I actually have a couple clips and videos to share of Los Angeles while I was there, because if you don't know, some crazy stuff was happening. But I do have some interesting little tidbits, which are just interesting. So I'll get to that. But yeah, it was a really good time. Much more chill this year, I noticed. There were a lot of people last year who I think only came because certain partners flew them out. And so they didn't come this year because those partners weren't attending Los Angeles promotions or whatever. And so it was a much, like, at least it felt smaller crowd and much more like intimate. A lot of the people that I recognized were only there for like a day and then left. It was just interesting. It was a very different kind of vibe. Yeah, not a lot of heavy hitters except for Resi 9. Yeah, like, and there were some big things that happened that like obviously I can't talk about, that I may never be able to really talk about because it's confusing. But there were other things that we saw and that happened while we were in Los Angeles. But as for Summer Games Fest itself, yeah, there wasn't a ton of stuff, you know. Rockstar sweating today. Oh, baby, yeah. Well, they spent all that money buying us off, and now looks like a bad investment, you know. Let's see. Didn't like the end of the story of Expedition 33. It's kind of like the end of La La Land. Not 1-to-1, of course, but the same types of people that hate the end of La La Land, I think, will not like the end of Expedition 33, which is okay. Not everybody has to like everything. But like my wife, she was quite upset when she got to the end of Expedition 33. So that was a whole thing. Man, the Expanse game looking fire. But that was the Future Game Show, I suppose. Yeah, that does look fire. We were talking to them because Owlcat Games, you know, they did Rogue Trader. I mean, that's a very, very good game. Whether you're a like Warhammer fan or not, Rogue Trader is a really good CRPG. But seeing that that's coming from them elevates my excitement like twofold, threefold. Like just seeing that they, with their understanding of role play, are going to be making that makes it look so much cooler. Because it already looked good by itself, but ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Luke's defo playing Death Stranding 2 right now. No, I am not. In my critique of Death Stranding, I compared Kojima fans who refuse to critique anything he does. I said that they had been stricken with something called Kojima syndrome, which is like Stockholm syndrome, where any bad design choice basically is misinterpreted as brilliance. So that's probably why they didn't want to send me a code. That's what I'm going with, at least. Nobody's entitled to a code. It just means we'll react to reviews and stuff. But yeah, there's no way on God's green earth that they would send me a code. Yeah. I got told by one major brand, not partner, but brand, like somebody that works with a major brand. I'll put it that way. And they told me, oh, well, if you want access to these things, like you need to support the brand. I was like, support the brand? What do you mean? Like, you need to support the brand. So I need to be a fanboy? Like I have to glaze them a little bit? No, I wouldn't say that. You just have to be supportive of the brand. I was like, it sounds like that's what you're saying. You know, like it sounds like you're saying if you want access, you need to glaze them a little bit more. Not necessarily like Keemstar glazing. That's a deep cut if you get that reference. But more like just, you know, be positive. Maybe don't be too harsh when they screw up. And I was like, we're not doing that. You know, if a company's going to do that, I don't want to like have that access, you know, because it means nothing. It means nothing. It's just dumb, you know, like I don't care either way, but it's just like, okay, if we're going to require you to basically be a fanboy if you want access, like, okay, we're talking two different languages. Say what you will about Ubisoft. I call their games atrocities. I called Valhalla a travesty of open world design. Like, I'm not that kind about that. I've openly said that I think the CEO needs to be replaced and the whole family needs to be stripped of their positions. I've been pretty clear, and they still invite me to stuff.
Cool German dude donated
That's
$10
crazy.
through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Can't believe we might be getting Silksong before GTA 6.
Yeah, my understanding is we will. Was I supposed to say that? I don't know, but it's my understanding we will. Too late now, haha. But yeah, anyway, I just am like, whatever. We're gonna say what we say, and if a brand or a company or publisher does not want to interact and wants to like put up a wall because we're not supporting the brand, their loss. You think that'll make me stop? No, we just getting started, my friend. So I always said, like, if like Todd was like, don't invite Luke to stuff, he has candles of me. You think that will stop me? I'll make another candle. I'll make a body pillow. I don't care. That's just, you're just begging for more, you know? Real quick. Oh my God. Oh no, it's retro. Jesus. My goodness. Just gifted 10 tier 1 subs on Twitch. Holy goodness. Thank you, my friend. 10 gifteds on Twitch. That's insane. That's insane. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely outrageous. Thank you for that. That's very generous. And I gotta keep catching up on this. Flem Nasty, what a name. Thank you for the 2. Thank Todd Howard. You are back. I know. I'm glad I'm back too. It's good to be back, my friend. Gaming Astronomer, thank you for that one. Hope you're doing well, brother. Hope the family's well. How's everything going? Everything's going well. We're doing well. Took the morning with the family, morning, early afternoon, whatever, with the family. It's been good.
Bender the Offender donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Are you going to cover Stellar Blade on PC?
I don't really know what I would cover. It seems to be a really solid port from what I've heard and just really good. So I don't really know what we do, but I mean, people should check out that game. The big thing with Stellar Blade is it looks like a game for thirsty boys. You know what I'm talking about. But when you play it, it's actually a really, really solid video game as well. It is for thirsty boys. There's plenty for them. There's plenty for them. But there's also just a really good game there too. Yeah, there's plenty of uppies to be had. Exactly, Jimothy. But it's also just a really good game. So I encourage you, if you've been like, hey, I'm looking for like a good action game, go check out Stellar Blade. You may think that it's just like for people gooning, but no, seriously, there's a good game there. There's a really good game. Let's see. INRG, good to see you, my friend. 21 months. Almost to 2 years, my friend. That's crazy. And you've been around forever, too. So I'm glad to have you here, my friend. Thank you. Luke, I want your opinion on the Life is Unwell trailer. Yeah, that one was a standout, wasn't it? If you don't remember that, Life is Unwell. Life is unwell. Life could be a dream. Life could be a dream. Where did it go? Or it's just, I think it's just unwell, isn't it? Into the Unwell. That's what it is. Yeah, this one. Do you remember this one? Dude, it's just so good. It looks solid. It looks just... It looks like one of those games we would have gotten back in like the 360 era that was just weird and crazy and outrageous. But I'm glad to see it. I mean, that's not a bad thing. That is a very good thing. Because I think we need more of these types of just new ideas. Something new and fresh. Not everything has to be a third-person adventure or whatever game. You can throw out some original crazy ideas, and I am here for it. So, yeah, I'm very excited for that. I think it looks good. I'm going to try to cover that one as it comes because, whew, I'm here for it. Ill also, yeah. This one people were asking about. Ill looks good. Team Clout. This one with its own unique gore system too. Special ragdolling systems. Ooh. Whoa, we froze. I mean, come on. That snow looks really good too. My goodness. Oh! They finished on the drop kick. So that one looks really good. Yeah, they have gameplay. They have a gameplay trailer as well. Where they show some more extended looks and stuff. My personal hope is that they let us crank the FOV. I'm assuming they will. Ooh, maybe not on console, but oh dude, that's so good. But yeah, I watched this trailer once before, the gameplay trailer, and it made me like super nauseous. So I hope that we can crank the FOV. It's a little too tight for me right now. But the game looks phenomenal. And of course, we'll see when the game actually comes what it's like. But there's a part up here. Ooh, yummy. Anyone else hungry? So yeah, it looks good. It looks very, very good. What else? Oh, we're going to talk about Resi because yes, I was featured in the Resident Evil video. So we'll touch on that. Yeah. Accidentally featured. Oops. Oops. Did I buy a Switch 2? No, I said I was not, and I did not. And even now, people who did buy it are like, man, I kind of wish I didn't buy it because there's like Mario Kart, but like that's kind of it. I can play Cyberpunk again. Like, okay, like the Switch 2 will make sense eventually to own from a cost standpoint. Like Nintendo probably doesn't change how like slimy they are, but I think, eventually it'll make more sense to actually invest in the platform. But as of right now, like, no. In a year, maybe, once they have that From Software exclusive, maybe then it makes sense. But right now, no. It just doesn't make sense. Let's see. Mudar almost did not buy it the second it hit stores. Well, dude, a lot of people, it was like, what, who was it? Was it a Yong video where Yong was like, and this whole thing is so crazy where Nintendo is being super slimy with the pricing, and the pricing of each game is insane, and the console price is also way too high. Here's the 3 of them I bought. Like, okay, you didn't buy 3 of them, but it was very funny. It was very fun because like a lot of YouTubers did that where they're like, this is ridiculous. Anyway, here's mine. It's just so dumb. I was like, how can you not just like not? It's not that difficult. Like, I love buying stuff. It's a passion of mine. Dare I say a love language. And even then, I was able to resist the urge. It's one thing if you're buying it to like do a breakdown of like the whatever the teardown of like, is it breakable? Like that's fine. I think everybody gets that. If you're do like a tech channel, if you're gonna do a review of the hardware and stuff, that makes sense. But if your content is you bashing the console and the company for all the stupid stuff they do, and then you buy it. It's like if somebody's entire channel is them bashing NVIDIA for the slimy, like, practices they do with like faking numbers on their slides to make performance look better than it is, and also manufactured scarcity and obsolescence and all of these things and the egregious pricing, and you have videos bashing all of that, and then you come on the next day and you're like, so check out my 5090. Like everybody's gonna laugh at you, you know, like, and you kind of open yourself up to it. It's just, I get it. We don't get a new console launch all the time. It was exciting. It was fun. I understand that. But if you bought it after bashing it, we get to make fun of you. Dems to rules, you know, that's how it works. It doesn't mean you're necessarily a bad person. It doesn't mean that like you should be canceled. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we get to make fun of you. We get to go, haha, that's stupid. And hopefully you can acknowledge that it's kind of stupid because it is, you know, like there's, I think, a misunderstanding sometimes where it's like somebody makes get kind of a hypocritical move like that. People are like, oh, so they should just be ended. I'm like, no, I don't think that. I just think it's funny and stupid. Like that's how it works. So anyway, my Switch is going to get delivered today. No, I did not order a Switch 2. No, I'm very happy with my Steam Deck. The Steam Deck, honestly, I got it when it first launched, and then I started using my ROG Ally a ton. But after the fact, like, I ended up playing a lot more on my ROG Ally. Like the overall experience for me was just a little bit better. But I went back to the Steam Deck just kind of on a whim, just to try it. And I was blown away at the improvements they made. Not only do games already run better than they used to, but it also just in general, the software is way tighter. Games perform better. Like they're more stable. I'm just blown away by it. They've also started like providing pre-compiled shaders and stuff directly through Steam, so you can just download the shaders. You don't have to compile them for every game if the company supports it, because they know the hardware on the Steam Deck, so they just allow you to download it. It's fantastic. Like the Steam Deck, I'm telling you, they've really got that thing down. They've done a great job. Manfish, thank you.
Manfish Meldrum donated $9.99 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, what features, elements or genres do you find most appealing or challenging linging in games?
What do I find most challenging lingling in games? I mean, genres, I tend to like narrative games. I tend to like adventure games in terms of like genre settings, what have you. You know me, I love pirates. I love me some pirates. Anything ancient Egyptian themed will also get brownie points for me. But I think my guilty pleasure game tend to be sim games, whether they're like Factorio or a Satisfactory, or even like I showed you guys one time, one of them I spent a ton of time in. Like not the most amazing game ever, but a really good, just lose your mind to it game. Come on. Another Brick in the Mall. I showed this and people were like, really? This is your guilty pleasure? But yeah, this, Planet Coaster, all of those games, or not SimCity, City Skylines. I love those games. I love these kinds of games where you just build something and it works like a well-oiled machine. I love these games. I don't make videos on them because how do I make my normal video on this type of game? Like it's not that kind of thing. But yeah, this is also one of my guilty pleasure games. I love this kind of thing. But I mean, I like a wide spectrum of stuff. You know, Factorio is also great. Yeah, Factorio is really good. Factorio is very, very good. Yeah. Let's see. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I like horror stuff. I like action stuff. I like adventure stuff. I don't tend to like the super sweaty games like Tarkov. I've never gotten into. In order to get really good at Tarkov, you got to lose yourself to Tarkov. Like you have to give in. You have to give yourself to Tarkov, and I just can't really swing that. Just can't juggle it. But oh yeah, Blades of Fire is pretty solid too. Blades of Fire is cool. Let's see. Let me continue catching up on these real quick before I lose track. Level 0, thank you for... Or not level 0. It just says one person contributed 5 bits. Okay. Well, either way, thank you for the bits, whoever did that. Abood, 2006 Cloud Strife resubbed for 2 months. Let's see. Praise be to Lord Todd Howard. By the way, how was the RE9 preview? I mean, it was really cool. I feel bad that my face is just totally unchanged in the video they shared. Like, you're getting some reactions from some of these other people, some smiles. From me, sitting right here, there's just nothing. In our same room, there were some people that were like comically loud, like actually yelling, "Oh my God, don't go in there," like stuff like that. So maybe that's part of the reason why I was just kind of like, because I was also like, they were taking all of that off of our plates. Like, there's no need to react when you got one guy freaking out. Like, one of the guys came in, sat down, and was like, "You guys gonna jump scare us?" I'm like, "Maybe." And he's like, Don't jump scare me. I can't handle it." This is a big dude. He's like 6'6", like 350 pounds. Like, he's a big dude. It's like, "I can't handle it." And they're like, "You came to see a horror game. Like, I don't know what you're expecting." It's kind of awkward. But he's like, "Don't do it. Don't jump scare me." And then sure enough, once something happened on screen, he was like, "Oh man, I trusted you." It was funny. It was funny, but still, I should have jump scared him. I should have. I was sitting across the way. Yeah. Luke Nonchalant Arc. I didn't know they were filming us. I didn't see the camera because it was very dark in there. So I didn't know I was being filmed. But yeah, that was just my face. There were moments where I was like, ha. I don't know what snippet they showed there because people didn't have huge reactions. But yeah, there were some cool things. Oh, camera's on. Camera was on the whole time, huh? Hello. Have I tried Phantom Blade Zero? Last year at Summer Games Fest. Very good. Phantom Blade is one to keep an eye on for sure. Tagita, thank you for the 100 bits. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Let's see. Luke, with all the multi-streaming talks in the world of streaming, have you considered starting on Kick? Maybe. We set up the Kick account and we did like 2 streams
he donated
there. It's just filled with bots.
$19.99
That's the
through
problem.
Super Chat. I'm really enjoyed this game fest a lot with games like Unwell, Ill, The Cube, Atomic Heart 2, Felt That Boxing and so on. What was a game announcement that caught you off guard?
Felt That Boxing. Funnily enough, I was trying out an indie game. A really solid indie game. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about till tomorrow. but you know, that is what it is. But one of the, if Jacob's in here, he might know who it is. One of the like lead producers and like the guy who's making this just casually came up behind us and started chatting. He was like one of the sweetest guys ever. Just a very kind human being. And he's just chatting, asking us kind of what we do and what we're up to and all that. And we're like, oh, and what do you do? Are you with an outlet or something? He's like, oh no, I work at blah, blah, blah. You know, the Felt That Boxing game. And we're like, bro, I don't think you realize, like, you're a rock star here. Like, you are the guy everybody wants to talk to. What do you mean? So he was a very, very cool guy. And yeah, I mean, this was a game I did not know I needed, but I need it. They were literally like, what if we did Mike Tyson's Punch Out, but with basically Muppets? And they're like, okay. One of the funny little things, it was Eric Towner. That's who it is. Eric Towner. Yeah, super nice guy. Like one of the nice people we met the entire weekend. But this little thing, do you remember this? This line right here. Wait for it.
Don't waste my time.
Save us, Fuzzy, or we'll die.
Save us, Fuzzy, or we'll die. So that guy, Eric Towner, the producer guy, he said that they had like a voice actress or actor that was trying to do that voice and they were going to pitch it up and it just wasn't working. They were saying the line in the recording booth when they were prepping the trailer and stuff. And it didn't capture what he said. It didn't capture the innocence they really wanted. So one of the producers had like a 3-year-old daughter and they went home with like their phone and just recorded the 3-year-old daughter saying, save us or we'll die. And that's what they used in the trailer, was that clip from his 3-year-old daughter, which is crazy. It's very fun. But that's why that line sounds so genuine and pure.
Don't waste my time.
Save us, Fuzzy, or we'll die.
It's so good. It's so good. So I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited for that. That's one that took me off guard. What else? Mixtape. Yeah, that's another one I did not expect to kind of be the highlight of our weekend. But seriously, this game is not getting a ton of attention right now. But seriously, if it ends up launching by the end of the year, this could be a like best indie of the year nominee. Like from what I played and saw, this is not one to ignore. Like I think a lot of people saw it and were like, okay, I don't know. But it straight up is like a Wes Anderson movie, but a game. And I'm here for it. Like it is so perfectly paced. Like it's hard to describe, but it was stunning. Like I went into it thinking, oh, it's going to be like kind of a cringy indie game or whatever, you know, games for impact, what have you. But no, it seriously just is a phenomenal narrative game. So I'm excited to see where that goes. That was also a big surprise because I was kind of like, oh, we'll fill in 30 minutes doing this. And we left going, that was crazy. So that's one to look at. And if you're doubting me right now and you're like, blink if you need help. If you're asking, I'm telling you, do not doubt me. I called many games from a mile away. I'm calling this one. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. New Plague Tale. Yeah, that looks very interesting. I want to see more though. I want to see more because I love me. I love me some Plague Tale. Oh, love it. Love it. Jimothy, thank you for 13 months. Ooh, baby, I prayed to the almighty Todd to watch over your travels. Seems my prayers were answered. Praise be. Hope you had a good trip, sir. Yeah, we did. It was a really good time. Thank you for your prayers to Todd. Yeah, he watched over all of us. Jimothy, thank you for I just read that one. I know how to read. Samuel, thank you for 11 months. It looked cool, but I'm skeptical. Stranger Than Heaven on my radar. Mind's Eye is the most game ever. Currently addicted to Expedition 33 and Luke Stevens. Glad to hear it. Thank you for being here. And yeah, Mind's Eye is a game and Expedition 33 is amazing. The other one that also blew me away and it was very, very exciting was Chronicles Medieval. This one initially, it's just like a solid cinematic trailer. I love medieval stuff. I love knights. I love castle sieges. I love it. I mean, shocker, I love KCD too. So I guess it's not that big of a surprise. But they even show at the very end some work in progress gameplay. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. Like, are we doing castle sieges and stuff? What's happening here? And if you read like the game descriptions and stuff on their Steam wishlist page and all that, they're describing it as like a big epic RPG where it's like rags to riches basically. And yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So this was also a really exciting game. Like this one I also think is one to keep an eye on. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Oh yeah, also the video game strike ended. They were on strike. But yeah, apparently they came to an agreement, at least tentatively, and ended the strike. So hopefully fewer delays with games. Maybe. We'll see. Let's see. Where did I leave? Cool gamer or a cool German dude with that 10. Thank you again for that 10 about Silk Song. Bender the Offender, thank you again for that 10. Codex, thank you for the 2. What are your thoughts on Dying Light the Beast? Seems really interesting and good for them for sticking with that project. And yeah, that's one to keep an eye on. I think that could be really cool to jump back in. Made a ton of improvements. GG Soap, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, with all the multi-streaming. Oh, I did talk about that. Yeah, we did a couple of streams on Kick. I might just turn it back on and add it to the stream. But what I found was it's like half porn bots when we were doing it. So I don't know if it's really worth it. You know, I don't know. It's just, it might be worth it. If enough people are like down for it and would like to watch on Kick instead of Twitch or YouTube, like, sure, we can do that. But I have literally, maybe this is the first time, but I've literally never heard somebody come in and ask for us to stream on Kick. I don't know. If I see somebody ask, sure, I'll turn the switch. It's literally a toggle for me. It doesn't matter to me. But, you know, other than like one more, I guess, chat to watch. But I've literally never seen somebody ask. Not like a single person. So who knows? Who knows? Let's see. Brown Boy Gaming, thank you for that 5. Why would I not buy an Xbox Ally X instead of a Switch 2? It looks insane. Performance is going to be way better. I wonder what the price would be. Literally just exclusives, like Switch games and
Bender the
From
Offender
Software game next
donated
year.
$10 through Super
That's it.
Chat. Mortal Shell 2 trailer was metal as hell.
Yeah, that one was popping off, dude. That one was good. I swear, some of these guys, some of these trailer editors they had this year, across the board, like they went hard at some of these trailers. They went hard. What was that one we saw that was crazy good? It'll come to me. I'm sure we'll talk about it. There was one trailer where it was just cut together so phenomenally well. Was it? I think, did we do a reaction to it separately? Was it Clockwork Revolution? Clockwork Revolution looks phenomenal too. I mean, that looks fantastic. I don't remember which it was, but yeah, all of them did great. Atomic Heart, yeah, Atomic Heart's trailer looked fantastic. Yeah, they all just did a fantastic job. They all did. Gabriel, thank you for that one. Can we get a look out at the end of the stream? If I remember, yes. Yes, I can do that. Stephen Lewis, thank you for the 5. I can't help but feel that it's our fault for $80 games. We bought so many day one DLC, special editions, and early access, early release games. Well, and even now, Mario Kart goes to 80. What do they do? Xbox says, oh yeah, we'll be following suit at the end of this year. Everybody assumes we're talking about Call of Duty. And then they come out, Outer Worlds 2 is $80. I don't think it looks bad, but I think it looks like in a freaking Obsidian solid AA game. Like, it's gonna be good, but I don't think it looks like a AAA game. I don't think it looks like a quadruple A game, certainly. And the first thing we heard was everybody was making like excuses for Nintendo if they wanted to buy a Switch. They're like, oh well, it's fine. It's fine. You know, it's just for Mario Kart. It's for the really high-end stuff. Well, what now? Now it's just normal. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's just crazy. Like, this is why it's important. If you see something that you don't like, do not like roll with it and normalize it, because then it just is a matter of time before it's normalized across the board. And now that's what's happened. Now it's just in 6 months, nobody's going to be talking about the $80 price tag except like one or two comments.
Jimbo404
Like,
donated
He was
$10
like,
through Super Chat. Could the $80 price tag be a ploy to push Game Pass?
1,000 bajillion %. Yeah. It makes Game Pass look like a much better value. And in some weird, funny ways, it's kind of a PlayStation tax and Steam tax. It's like, yeah, you can play the game on PlayStation or on Steam, Epic Games, whatever. But you're going to pay way more. Like, no joke, for a lot of people right now, if they're on like PlayStation and they happen to be buying a lot of Xbox games that are coming to the platform, it's going to get to a point, especially with like $80 and then early access, which is another thing they're doing, which is like only for the deluxe edition. So it's another $30 to upgrade to the deluxe edition. For a lot of these things that they're doing, it's going to get to the point where like you'll just save money if you just buy a Series X and buy 4 or 5 games through Game Pass instead of buying them outright. Like, it's just insane. It's just crazy. But that's where we are. Like, you just make it so prohibitively expensive to buy the games normally that Game Pass seems like all that much of a better value. But it's also going to apply to Game Pass price hikes too. I mean, compared to an $80 price point for a AA game, even $30 Game Pass subscription seems like a good deal, doesn't it? It's like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, I could buy the game. But yeah, I have Game Pass, so I'm fine. And even at like $40 a copy, it seems like a better deal, or $50 a month for it seems like a better deal. But anyway, it's just they're gonna keep cranking the price. That's what's gonna happen. It's just gonna keep going up and up and up until someday people will sit up and be like, wait, how did Game Pass get to the point where it was $39.99 a month? It's like, well, because AAA games now, and even some AA's, are all $80 or $90 a copy, and that's just how they did it. They normalized it and then made it seem like a better deal in comparison to the egregious price elsewhere. This is not rocket science. It really is not. But the more you just roll over with it, it's just gonna continue. But it's all, I mean, the only way it changes is if you vote with your wallet and you don't buy it. And guess what? Nobody's willing to do, it seems. I mean, and the Switch 2 is a great example. People were upset about the pricing. People were upset about things like Mario Kart being $80. And what does pretty much every damn person in God's green earth do? They all go and buy a Switch and buy Mario Kart or the bundle. So they feel like they're getting a deal. And that makes it okay. So, you know, at some point I feel like I'm bashing my head against the wall, but if people are going to do it, they're going to do it. And there's not much I can do. You know, my vote doesn't count for much. It's what the millions of people do that matters. You know, that's the key. That's the key. One person is literally a rounding error for them. Millions of people doing something, that changes things. But the millions chose to just roll over and say whatever. Thank you again for the 10-man fish. Flem Nasty with the 5. When do you think we get a Steam Deck 2? I'm not totally sure. Maybe somebody in chat knows if they've talked about it. I don't know if there's any immediate plans. I haven't heard anything though. So maybe in like, a couple of years we'll see something, but I've not heard any rumblings or leaks or anything. But if somebody in chat knows, please share, because I would love to know as well. But I genuinely don't know. Gaming Astronomer, thank you for that one. Luke, have you played the Beginner's Guide? I don't think so. The Beginner's Guide. Narrative video game, Davey Redden of the Stanley Parable. Oh, wait, I've heard of this, though. I've heard of this. But no, I've not played it. I should add that to my to-do list. I should do that. Thank you for the recommendation. Thank you. V, thank you again for the 20. That was very generous of you. Thank you, truly. Kappa Claus, 2 years of membership, 24 months. Oh, baby. That's fantastic. Thank you. 2 years. Hope you're doing well, dog. Super excited for Felt That Boxing. Yeah, dude, I'm excited for that too. It's just a wacky, insane game. It's just insane, but I'm very excited for it. And thank you again for 2 years. I can't believe it's been 2 years, but gee whiz. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. That's what I'm going to roll with. MMOA Altaholic, thank you for that. Yes, I did see that clip from Ko. We'll look at it in a minute because it's pretty freaking funny and I need to share it with people if they've not seen it. Bender, thank you again for that 10. Jimbo, thank you again for the 10. Tazmeister, thank you for that 5. I'll read that in just a second once it reads this.
Quack a Mole donated $9.99 through Super Chat. It hurts me to see that everybody just bought the Switch anyways. We're so cooked.
Yeah, it's a little depressing. I mean, at the very least, I think influencers and streamers and stuff really needed to lead by example. And I was frankly like a little disappointed at how many people just rolled over and bought it. Like it was
Ricadius donated $9.99 through Super Chat. People don't bother voting with their wallet, but eventually the majority of the middle class will be priced out. Gotta pay for rent, electric, and net before even getting to the games.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what I've said for the Switch too is that of course, it was going to sell however many copies it had available at launch. Because historically, with every console launch, the limiting factor, the bottleneck, is not demand, it's supply. And so I've said since the beginning, since well before launch, that I think the true indication of success is going to come from like the holiday season numbers. It's going to come from next holiday season. It's going to come from like the dad who's going to Walmart to buy his kid or kids birthday presents or Christmas presents. And maybe, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, he would have walked in and bought a Switch and then like a copy of Mario Kart and a couple small games and accessories and stuff. But now he walks in and sees the console starting at $450 and he sees the games are $80 a pop and he sees all that. I think way more than 5-10 years ago, I think way more people will go, I can't do it. And that's what made the Switch really pop off, were the casual gamers, were the casual consumers buying it in droves. Kind of like the Wii, where the Wii just popped off because everybody and their grandma had a Wii back in the day. But I'm not sure if that translates with the Switch too. And maybe it does, but I think that people will get priced out. And that's where you'll see, after a year or two, the trajectory of the Switch go way flatter than compared to the first one, in my personal opinion. Yeah. But it's just going to come down to other like macroeconomic factors. It's going to come down to people's inflation rates elsewhere. Like people like spending money on video games. People like spending money on entertainment, but it's also a matter of if people have the money, they can spend it on that. If they don't have the money, they won't be able to spend it on that. So of course, other things like recessionary pressures are a thing to consider, all of that. Casuals, ew. Yeah, if they can really start revving up some of the big, like, recognizable exclusives, that I think really helps it. So they've been really quiet on things like Animal Crossing. If they have an Animal Crossing next year, oh baby, then I think they're good. Then I think they're set. If they have, 3D Mario that actually is like, 10 out of 10 IGN. If they have something like that, then you could see it popping off. Then you could see it doing really, really well. New Zelda, I'm guessing they're going to take longer. That's my guess. But if they have some like really big must-have game, maybe the FromSoft exclusive, maybe that's going to be that game. If it ends up being a 10 out of 10, I could see it being that game. My thing with that From Software exclusive is I genuinely don't know how many FromSoft fans, very few of whom I'm guessing own a Switch to begin with, because the Switch platform doesn't historically have games like, they'll have like the original Dark Souls, they'll have some old ports and stuff, but they don't have a lot of competition on that platform. So I don't know how many like hardcore Elden Ring players are on the Switch already. So a lot of people will be buying a Switch 2 just for that game. And I genuinely don't know how many people that is. Like, I don't know how many people are willing to spend $450 for the console. Let's be real, $80 for the FromSoft game. So we're at $530. With tax, we're at like $550, $560, maybe more. And then you're probably getting a Pro controller because you're probably not playing a FromSoft game on Joy-Cons that reliably. So you might also add in another $100. So you're starting to look like $650 with tax and everything for like one game. And if it's a 10 out of 10, then I can see people doing that. But if it ends up being like an 8 out of 10, kind of similar to Night Rain, I don't know how well that does. I genuinely don't. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see. Very interesting to see. Because I genuinely don't know how that translates. Do I know anything about Cory Barlog's new IP? The silence is concerning. If I did, I wouldn't tell you. But sometimes silence is not a bad thing. Sometimes silence is just simply a peaceful calm while you paint a beautiful painting. Other times it's because you're in the eye of a hurricane and everything's about to go to crap. But sometimes it's just quiet serenity. It's not always bad. Sometimes it's really bad, but not all the time. Not all the time. Sometimes it's okay. Tazmeister, again, thank you for that 5. Starfield got a fan mode called Watchtower. I have heard of this. Check it out, dude. Better than Shattered Space. Embarrassing. Glad you enjoyed SGF. Yeah, I feel bad for the Starfield fans because there's literally a dozen of them, and they were hoping for some update on Starfield, and there was nothing. Like, literally nothing for them. And I feel for them, dude. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, it's pretty clear what's happened with that game. Like, they're getting ready to move on. That's just where they're at. They're just getting ready to move on. And I don't personally believe that they're going to, like, dump it and cancel it, like the expansion, I mean. But I definitely don't think there's going to be a third expansion. I don't think so. Oh yeah. I guess we can do a little clip on this real quick, just so people know. Blistered, thank you for that one. My dad works at Nintendo, charges $80 per hug. That's a deal. That's a deal. How much does he charge to be proud of you? Probably a lot. Charlie Rogers, thank you for the 5. What is PlayStation's reasoning for not creating a Game Pass clone service at this point? Comparable in price. I mean, seems like a no-brainer to me. They experimented with it back like 2-3 years ago with PlayStation Plus. And they just straight up said, we've decided it's not for us. And so they pulled back on all of it. They just decided it wasn't worth it. And for them, it probably wasn't. Like, for them, it probably didn't make sense because PlayStation fans are much more accustomed to paying full AAA price for the games they want. The problem for Xbox long-term, potentially, is that people who play on Xbox are now conditioned to just getting the new game included in what they're already paying every month. They don't like the idea of additional cost and like upfront cost for their games. So it means like if Xbox were to do something, and they experimented with this where they had some games launching day one, but maybe not on Game Pass, didn't translate well, didn't work because their customers are conditioned to just have it included if they're an ultimate, like the ultimate Game Pass tier. So for PlayStation, hey, if you've got millions of people willing to pay you $70-$80 up front, just do that. Just do that. Like that, and that's what they've decided. They're just keeping it. It sucks if your game costs $200 million and they don't do that because it was very expensive and you don't have recurrent revenue in months where you aren't releasing something like Game Pass does. But if you do have a good month, you pop off. I mean, again, just the most simple, bare bones way of understanding the difference between the two is that Game Pass generates this much revenue every month. Let's even just make it well, there's going to be some months where maybe there's like an expansion. Maybe some months there's, some early access thing you pay $35 for. But in general, this is what Game Pass revenue looks like. Okay. For PlayStation, it's a little bit different where they have recurrent revenue, but it's way lower. And then they have a release, in which case people pay $70 and it spikes like crazy. And then it goes down and back to normal. And then it spikes and it goes back down. And so for PlayStation, they're doing okay if they can hit these spikes and if that works. But if they have like a Concord, it doesn't spike like that. And instead, you were expecting a spike, but instead you got nothing. And so you just have all of this that's just left underwater, and it's just, it can be bad. So PlayStation's pricing model is very intolerant of flops. It does not work as well. Microsoft, straight up, if they have a game that really, really, really underperforms, it's not the end of the world because they're still getting 35 million people to pay them every single month, whether there's a new game or not. They just have to have enough games that people refuse to cancel. That's all you really need to do. No, I mean, I'm not saying that this, my scientific MS Paint drawing, I'm not saying that the proportions are the same, okay? Just to be very clear. I'm not saying that this and this is scientifically accurate. If I need to explain that, we may be in trouble. But yes, PlayStation Plus generates a lot of money. One of Sony's biggest revenue sources is actually insurance in Japan. Did you know that? Probably not. But Sony has many different revenue streams, lots of cash coming in from many different places. But just simply to understand the difference between recurrent revenue streams and something just based on simple products and as like a premium product pricing, that's kind of how to understand it. You suffer real bad when there's a flop or an underperforming game, but you do great when you have one pop off. It's pretty straightforward, frankly. Let's see. Okay, I read that one. Nomad Ski, thank you for that as well. High prices are made worse by the lack of sales on console. Well, I think the danger like 3, 4, 5 years from now is just if the higher prices, maintain and even go up higher, people, I think, are just going to grow more selective. So I think it's going to be harder for wacky new games to really pop off. And so I don't think you get third-party AAA games. I don't think you get anywhere near as many of those. And people are just going to be very selective with where they put their money because it's a lot more money they're putting up for each individual game. They're not going to, like, their standards are going to raise, because if you have to pay $80 or $90 for a game, you're going to make damn sure that game is worth that price before you buy it. Whereas if the game were $50 or $40, you might be willing to just try it, roll the dice, see if you like it, see if you don't. And it's not that big of a deal if it's not great. That premium price point raises standards. And I think the danger long-term is people may be willing to pay that price point for Mario Kart or for, a FromSoft exclusive or for Call of Duty or something. I'm not so sure they're willing to do that for, a typical standard Square Enix RPG or something that maybe gets like mid 80s on Metacritic, I'm not sure how that translates long term. Probably not that well. Okay. But it's also Square Enix. Square Enix has struggled. Quick little clip for you. New mini segment. Something happened yesterday where... Let me try that again. Something happened yesterday where there was an announcement that Sony Bend is undergoing a restructuring, effectively. Sony Bend, of course, the developers behind Days Gone. They were tasked with working on a massive live service game because, of course, they were. And they were working on that for a while, and it ended up, of course, being canceled. They walked away from it, and that happened, I think, late last year, early this year. It's kind of a blur. But what happened was there was an announcement. Basically, they made this post. Today, we say goodbye to some incredibly talented teammates as we transition to our next project. We're deeply thankful for their contributions as they've shaped who we are. Their impact will always be a part of our story. This is a difficult moment for our team, but we hold immense respect for everyone who got us here. As we move forward, we remain committed to building the future Bend Studio with creativity, passion, and innovation in the titles we craft. Translation: they're laying off roughly a third of their entire team, or around 40 people, and they are revving up for a new game. Now, I can't say it's that surprising, okay? What happens is when you transition from like single player to multiplayer with a lot of network stuff, you're going to hire people who do that. You're going to hire people who do things like, network programmers. You're going to hire engine programmers who are able to figure out how to do matchmaking. Like, you're going to hire people for that type of game. And once you decide to stop making that kind of game, you don't need those people anymore. So it doesn't make sense to keep them around, because if you go from multiplayer to single player, you don't need, in theory, anywhere near the number of network engineers you had before. You don't need those types of people. So you just kind of restructure. A lot of those people will go and get laid off, and then you just basically try to restructure your team around your new project. Now, what this new project is, we don't really know at this point. It's not clear if they've been greenlit or if they're just pitching something, because what has to happen is you have to work on something to pitch, and then it gets greenlit, and then you make the full game. Like Rocksteady right now is allegedly working on a pitch for a new Batman game. It's not a new Batman game. Allegedly, they've not been greenlit. Maybe they have since the reporting earlier this year, but they're allegedly working on a prototype to showcase to executives to get the green light. So we don't know what this is. It could be that they're getting ready to do a Days Gone 2. It's not impossible. Maybe that's what they've decided to do. It could be that they're going to go and just do something totally new, something totally wacky. Or maybe they're just going to try their hand at another live service game. Who knows? You never know with PlayStation these days. But yeah, the team is being totally restructured and literally decimated. I mean, they're getting rid of a third of the company. Kevin McAllister, who I believe started on just as a fan of Days Gone, posting like screenshots and stuff, eventually got hired by them and is now a community manager, said, "It's a sad day in Bend. I love the studio. It means so much to me. Hard to put into words when something like this hits your team. And yes, I'm safe. Thank you for those who reached out." And yeah, I mean, it's just, imagine a third of your company being wiped out in a day. It's wild. Home Alone. Yeah, this is where he's working now. Yeah. Yep. After being abandoned in New York City. That's where he ended up, in Bend, Oregon. It's crazy. Small world, right? Small world. So anyway, we wish them the best. We wish the people who got, laid off as part of this the best. And hopefully Sony has learned their lesson and doesn't keep greenlighting projects that probably never should have been greenlit, so they don't hire people only to fire them a couple of years down the road. Hopefully they learned that lesson. Did they? Probably not, but time will tell. Time will tell. You know what time will also tell? Time will tell the story of Mind's Eye. You want to see something outrageous? You want to see something outrageous? This is pretty outrageous. News ever. Okay. So something happened. A game launched yesterday. A highly anticipated game. A game we were watching closely. Mind's Eye. Wrong button. Mind's Eye. Yes, they launched yesterday to much aplomb, as it were, heretofore, post tense. And, in some ways it's better than I expected. And in a lot of ways it's exactly what I expected. I do think that there is a world in which Mind's Eye gets delayed, gets plenty of time given to it, and it ends up being kind of a cool project. I do think there was a way to make this something interesting because they've got a lot of phenomenal talent there. They have a lot of talented voice actors and actors and motion capture. You look at the cutscenes. The cutscenes are actually pretty solid, but this thing was not ready. It just wasn't. And it's so clear when you start to look at some of these clips that it was not ready. And I'm going to share with you some of what came out yesterday, including some really funny, insane things that are insane. So just buckle up, okay? Because some of this is wacky. So people have been playing it. This was the first screenshot that started to go viral. It was taken from a video playthrough in German, and I've not been able to find it. I don't know if this is still up. I don't know if it's still around. I guess we can check again. Whoops. Mind's Eye. It's specifically Deutsch Part 2. From the look of it, right? Deutsch Part 2. Maybe we can find it. Maybe we can find it. If any of you find it or find the channel, let me know. I'd like to pull it up. Part 2. It's specifically all in caps after the big bracket. What? I'm not seeing it. The GTA 6 killer. Yeah, dude. I'm not seeing it. I wanted to find the original clip to show it in context, but I'm not seeing it. Probably because YouTube doesn't tend to release or like recommend videos in other languages. It's just not their typical modus operandi. So I'm guessing that's why, but I don't see it. And it doesn't look like any of you guys found it. That's okay. That's okay. But anyway, this was the first little snippet that started popping off, was this screenshot right as the game launched. Some sort of horrifying, insane graphical glitch that's straight out of AC Unity. So this started making the rounds, and immediately people are like, oh boy. So it looks like suspicions were accurate. People were right to be concerned about this. And then more clips started coming out. Number 1, performance is abysmal. Nick Tech has been putting out some clips to just summarize this. As usual, Nick Tech does a phenomenal job recapping all of this. But as you can see, playing the game on PC, game stutters like hell. Look at some of this. Look at some of these dips. Game goes crazy. So I recorded my video on the PlayStation 5 Pro because I didn't want people to say that like, oh, it's your hardware, Luke. That's the reason it's not running great. Because there's people already claiming that I like messed with my PlayStation 5 to make it run the game poorly, which is ridiculous. But even this, like you can see on PC, it's running very poorly, very, very poorly. Okay, it looks like 9800 XT. Is that what that is? 9070 XT. Like it should not be running like this is the point. Okay, this is bad. It runs very, very poorly optimized. On the PlayStation 5 Pro, it claims it's PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced. On the store page, PlayStation put that on. Like PlayStation put enhanced on their game or on the store page. And it does not go above 30 frames. In fact, the PlayStation 5 Pro struggles to hit 30 frames. Most of the gameplay is in the like high to mid 20s with occasional drops even lower. It's just, it's not ready. Like the performance is really bad. NPC, AI, and variety is extremely bad. You can see tons of NPCs with the same faces but different clothes. Some NPCs react to guns. Some stand like a statue. When NPCs do react, the game stutters for a moment to utilize their AI or whatever is happening in the background. Yet you can literally feel the game go like, oh, loading, personality, and then it like chugs while it's figuring out what the NPC should do. It's really, really bizarre. And, you know, again, you just start to feel like the game was built with those tools, like the sort of in-game modding tools that they pitched, where it's supposed to be like drag and drop. Oh, place NPCs here. You can make your own levels and stuff. Look at that. That was unbelievable. But that comes with, you know, a lack of depth, but that's the entire game. Is the entire game feels like this. And this is why it's such a big deal. When you try to frame yourself around GTA, that's a problem. They were promoting on Reddit posts that compared their game to GTA 6 and said like, this is a great game to hold you over until GTA 6. When you put yourself into the Rockstar arena, you get these comparisons. People will make these comparisons because you entered that arena. You chose to enter that arena and be compared in that way. This gameplay makes him look like a psychopath, but you get what I mean. Like you just plowing through people. But like this is what happens. You will be compared in these one-to-one ways that will, like, you're not going to win those comparisons. You're just not going to. Okay? It's not going to work. It's not a good idea. No police system. It's non-existent except in some mini games. You can basically do this and nothing happens as a consequence. The way they get around this is they say that the open world, in order to explore it, you have to go into a separate game mode called free roam. So they're saying, yeah, there's no police presence because that's not the kind of game we're making. We're making a linear game, but we aren't making a police system or any sort of like consequence system for these types of actions because it's free roam. It's not an open world game, which whatever. But the point is when you have an open world like this and you compared yourself to GTA, you're going to get these comparisons again. Like I stopped feeling bad because they compared themselves in that way. They brought up the comparisons and tried to play that game. And now they're like trying to cry foul because people are being like, yeah, but it's nowhere near as good as that. As you can see here, no melee combat. There's no punching. There's no even press the right stick to do a melee attack. There's just nothing like that. You can't steal cars. You can only enter from the left side of the car. Yeah, the vehicles are not all operable. This one, the game has traffic system issues where the cars all end up... Dude's just walking. What is happening? Like... The in-game AI is just not ready. It's just broken. It doesn't work. The cars don't know how to navigate this parking lot. So they just flip. And like, it's just, again, it's broken. If you try to explore the open world, you constantly get a mission to abandon fail screen. Whoops. It scrolled too far. There we go. Mission failed or abandoned fail screen. During my playthrough, I wanted to explore some areas because the game seemingly doesn't want you to explore the world at the beginning of the game. maybe it's unlocked later, but as far as 4 hours into the game, I couldn't free roam except for the time where I glitched out of a mission. If free roam gets unlocked after finishing the game, this would be a very bad game design, in my opinion. Well, and it's also just, yeah, look at that. The way they're getting around it is just to say it's not an open world game, so don't expect that. And you know what? Okay, but then maybe don't compare yourself to GTA. Okay, like just saying. This is probably nitpicking, but some missions are a pain in the ass. This one, for instance, begins with my car already being damaged after a shootout, causing the vehicle to explode early, and it took me multiple tries before finishing this mission. This kind of follows with some of the balancing things we heard about, where during the previews, the game was so broken that they had to turn on invincibility twice, 2 separate times, in order to actually finish it, because even the devs couldn't get through it, which, you know, that's not great, but that's what happens. Yes, you should absolutely follow Nick Tech, by the way. You absolutely should. Did this recap, does great recaps. Also YouTube videos, all that stuff. You should follow Nick Tech, absolutely. Extreme ghosting issues when using an upscaler. Yes, indeed. If you're using FSR, XESS, or TSR, the game will have some extreme ghosting issues that are very noticeable and hinder gameplay. Also, they claimed, I believe, that they were going to have FSR. Was it 3? One of the versions of FSR they said they were going to have, and they just straight up didn't. The open world feels empty. I glitched out of a mission once and free roamed to see how detailed Red Rock City is, and now I know why the game doesn't want you to explore it. There's seemingly nothing to it. The city is beautiful and very detailed, but lacks soul, almost like the Matrix Unreal Engine 5 demo, which is ironic because this is an Unreal Engine game as well. And yeah, I mean, again, it's more that this was a map built. That's his stutter, not mine. That's the game. It was a game that was built, or an environment that was built for the missions to take place within. It is not an open world game. And to be fair, they started following up and explaining that, but it was kind of too little too late because they had already compared themselves to GTA. And these are just a few of the little snippets. You want to know one of the most insanely funny things that happened? CoCarnage, who's a streamer, was booting up a game. I'll let you guess which game it was. And he was going to do a sponsored stream of it. Just watch what happened, okay?
Now I know what that is. Oh, Chad. What? Okay.
Closed one game is opening another.
The sponsor just paused the sponsored stream. So, first time that's happened. Yep. Just got contacted and they wanted to pause the stream. Yep. Was it because I mentioned the reviews? Now I know what that is.
Maybe, dude. Maybe. If they were like, oh, no, he's Googled it. Shut it down. Shut it down now. Maybe. It's possible. It's possible. Does this mean he's not getting paid? Yeah, probably not. Probably not. The thing with a lot of this stuff is, like, if they pull out, you could probably, like, sue them for contract breaking and all of that. But it's probably going to cost you more in lawyers than you would get, realistically. So it's probably not worth it. You know, like, I just... Unless you're like, I don't know, Ludwig or something. Unless you're somebody who's probably getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, then it probably makes sense to get lawyers involved if they try to back out at the last second. But yeah, I think if you're not on that like giga streamer level, it's probably not useful. Oh no, he's on a better game. Cancel it. Well, and they did a lot of sponsored streams, okay? Literally the only positive stuff I heard about Mind's Eye came from sponsored content. And even then, there were some sponsored things that were still not positive. Okay, there were still some sponsored things that were not that positive. Like what's his name? What's his name? I don't remember his name. Something AU. Is it like Viper AU? What's that guy's name? Do you know what I'm talking about? Dark Viper? He was doing a sponsored stream. So Synth says, Dark Viper AU did a sponsored stream for Mind's Eye and he could barely keep it together for the ending ad segment.
This preview ends of Mind's Eye. Just like to remind you guys that
Thank God.
Thank God.
this game was sponsored by. If you want to check out Mind's Eye now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, Epic Game Store, and Steam, feel free. You can type !spawn in chat and I give you a link.
Very cool game.
I'm pretty sure that this game is going to win Game of the Year this year.
It's a little funny. It's a little funny. On the one hand, like, if I know that I'm gonna hate something, we don't do sponsorships. Okay, like my policy is like with everything we cover and do, I need to check it out before I agree to do anything. So like even now, we're working kind of behind the scenes on some sponsored stuff, and I tell them like, if I don't like it, it will be obvious. Like, and of course, with all of our sponsored videos, I always say I got to be able to say whatever I want to say. So if I hate it and if there's big problems, I have to be able to say it. And to their credit, plenty of brands are like, absolutely. Mecha Break, for example, we did a sponsored video with them, and I told them I don't like how it's monetized in this like closed beta thing they did. I was like, I don't like how I have to buy the different mechs. I don't like how you have to buy to progress those things. I don't like that. And I said that in our sponsored video, and they allowed it. They allowed it. They said, okay. And you know what? They actually came out. They said they're making changes to all of that. They're actually like overhauling the progression around feedback from not just me, but from the community as well, because we were all kind of on the same page. And that's what you would hope to hear, right? Like you'd hope to hear that the brand is like, yeah, say anything you want. Our game is awesome. And if you have notes, we would like to know them. So please share them. Like that's what you would hope to hear. But there are plenty of companies that will pay you to do like sponsored streams. And it's straight up like, no, you have to talk about these features. You have to say you should go buy it. You have to go say you should do this. You should do that. And you can't critique it. You can't say anything bad. It's a sponsored stream. Like you got to hype it up. And in this case, technically, I'm sure he did that. But I'm not sure he's moving any copies as a result of this. You know, I'm not sure he's moving any copies. Funnily enough, we've actually done sponsored segments or videos actually where they're like, yeah, we'll give you access to the game. You can try it. And if you don't like it, we'll just go our separate ways. And we've had that happen. Like we've had that happen where the game is just not where it's at, and I'm like, I can't. No, this doesn't make sense. This is not gonna work, and we walk away and we go our separate ways. And so instead of me like making a sponsored video where I'm like, guys, I really don't like this game, instead of that, we just move on. They don't have to spend their money on me bashing the game. And we'll just go our separate ways because we don't like it. But in this case, I mean, I've seen a lot of these sponsored streams, and most of them are like, you know, they just try to be positive, even though chat's kind of toxic, and you know that's whatever. But
this preview ends of Mind's Eye.
It's this sub message that gets me.
Just like to remind you guys that
Thank God.
this game was sponsored by
Like, on the one hand, part of me feels bad for them that they paid for a sponsored stream and they're getting, like, it's popping off. People are watching it, not because it's promoting the game, but because everybody knows that he actually really did not like the game, and everybody's just like, can't say it, you know? So I feel bad for them a little bit for that. But it's also really funny. Like, if your game's not ready and you do sponsored content, it looks really bad. And there's been videos put out, sponsored videos. Like, I tried videos where people are just like hyping it up or trying to say that it's really good. But like, again, the only positive stuff I've seen about the game have come from sponsored content, which is just not how it's supposed to work. You know, it's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be kind of in tandem. Positivity over here, positivity over there, some sponsored streams, and they're also loving it. That's what you'd hope to see. But instead, like, we see this. It's just very funny. So Mind's Eye, unfortunately, is kind of exactly what we thought it would be. It's unfortunate that it is, but it just is. And you know, maybe they can get it where it needs to be eventually, but when you look at the whole entirety of everything that went down with this, I think the odds are pretty low that they get given the time to figure it out. I'm just being real. Like, I think that the fact that the CFO resigned, this chief legal officer leaves right before the game comes out, and all of this is going down right before the game launches. It launches, it's super broken, and like, apparently they're not moving many copies. And I'd be surprised if Build a Rocket Boy is still around in like 2-3 months. IOI should be ashamed of being linked to this mess. It's why I honestly was surprised that they did the showcase between Hitman 007 and Mind's Eye. Like, I understand they're publishing it. They put a lot of money into it. But I would love to know what went down behind the scenes, because it really seems like at some point they just said, you're cut off. No more money. Put the game out. It does what it does. And now we're seeing the results of it. Like, it just was not ready. It was super broken, very rushed. And even then, the core idea, like, it's what I said in the video I made. I think even polished and running pretty well, it's still probably like a 7 out of 10 game. Like, it's just kind of boring, you know? So if even when the biggest problem, which is the performance, even when that is fixed, you're still looking at kind of a meh score. Because people get confused. 7 out of 10 is like, that's like a C. So when I think of like a C, C's get degrees. Like, C is technically passing. You know, you made a game. That's assuming they can fix AI. That's assuming they can fix everything. It still is probably just kind of like a boring open world game. And is like a C minus. But I don't think it ever gets there. You know? Yeah, I always have to clarify with the 7 out of 10, because in my brain, I think 70, which is like a C, and in the American school system, a C is like, you completed the assignment of making a video game. Like, you completed the assignment. It's not exceptional at all. It is exactly what you needed to do to pass the bar. A D is like, I should fail you, but I don't want to, because then I'd have to have you in my class for another semester. That's kind of where I'm at. So the grading system's confusing. I would understand if a lot of people are like 5s, but again, I think it just depends on what we mean by what they could fix. If they could fix all the AI, if they could fix the NPC AI, if they could fix the combat systems, we're talking about a very different video game. If they could just change all of it, it would be better. So I just don't think practically they could ever get there. But even if they did, I still think just in terms of like the story, how they have it set up, the mission structures and everything, I think it's still just like a kind of game, even with all that fixed. So I just don't see a great outcome for it. But it's what happens when you make a game that's basically just an extra mode for a Fortnite kind of ripoff. It's shocker it didn't end up really great. 5 is in the middle, so 7 is good. No, I understand some people grade it that way, but most American game journalists are grading basically off of a weird version of the American school system grading system, where a 70 is a C, which is like
Ironclad Disposal donated $10 through Super
average.
Chat. Do you think we will see Sony issue refunds for Minzai like they did for Cyberpunk?
I saw people saying that they were getting approved for refunds. So I don't know if they'll I don't think they're going to delist it or anything unless it gets really, really bad. But I've heard people, or I've seen posts from people saying that they got approved for refunds on PlayStation. So if you bought it there for some reason, go and try it. Go and try it. Give it a shot. Yeah, I guess I can compare this. So like IGN's grading score, just so I can be clear about this. So I can be clear obscure about this. They rate like 10 out of 10 Masterpiece is that it's Masterpiece. It is highest recommendation. It's amazing. It's as close as somebody could reasonably expect for a game to be to perfect. It's just phenomenal. 9 is amazing. Maybe there's a couple of things that are really, really good. There might be like one problem here or there, but really, really fantastic games. Great is an 8. 7 is good. It's a time well spent. Could be better, absolutely, but it lacks ambition. A few technical bumps. Too repetitive, but we came away happy. 6 is okay. It's a recommendation that comes along with a bunch of ifs. That's probably a good way of describing an okay game. It's like, if you like sci-fi games, if you like games that are really trippy and wacky, maybe then you'd like it. That's probably a good way of doing it. I kind of like that. 5 being mediocre, just like totally bland, unremarkable. I could see giving like Mind's Eye a 5. Right now, I think it's like a 4 or a 3 on their scale. But even fully fixed on IGN scale, it's probably still like a 5 or a 6. Maybe a 6 if they fix the AI and all of that stuff. I did see this. I thought this was funny. Modern review scale. 1 to like 78 is terrible. Sucks. But then in the 80s and 90s, yeah, it's like much clearer, easier to break down. Yeah. I guess officially I can work on this. If you guys think that this scale that IGN has is maybe more in line with what you'd expect, I can try really hard to change the way my brain thinks about it. Because I always think of it as like a letter grade in school where, a B is good, a C is like okay, D is mediocre, and then an F is bad. But the grading scale would be like shifted up by a point or two. But if this is more in line with what you'd expect, I could see that. Just be like, yeah. Mind's Eye right now, I think is bad to awful. Even fully fixed, it probably ends up okay. To maybe even good. Maybe. But, I mean, probably just okay at the top end. That's what I think. Change your brain, Luke. Thanks. Okay. Got you. 1 to 4 becomes meaningless in that mindset. Yeah. Welcome to the American school system. Yeah. Yep. It's like, what are we doing? I don't know. Just doesn't make sense. I agree. Okay. Why not just use a grading scale instead of numbers? Well, because in different parts around the world, because my audience is spread pretty far out, they don't use a similar grading scale. Like they do things differently. Who was it? Wait, which country had the insane grading scale we talked about like 2 years ago? One of you guys explained like the grading scale of one of your countries, and I was like, there's no way that's real. What? Do you remember? I don't. You know, this isn't important. I shouldn't go into it. I'm like pulling up grading systems by country and stuff. X to 9. What? 1 to 5. Okay, that makes sense. 1 to 6. 6 to 1. F to A minus. I don't know what's happening anymore. 2 to 5. What are we doing, Russia? Like, okay. Anyway, moving on. Well, it's not important. It's not important. It's not important. Okay, let's do this. Let me catch up. Okay, we talked about that one. Oh, Jonathan, thank you for the 5. Hey, have you heard about a new game called Ahoy? It's a realistic 17th century ship game with combat. Kickstarter trailer came out a few days ago. Yes, I did see that. I'm not sure if we'll have time to talk about it on stream, but yes, I did see that, and it's very interesting to me. I have to do a bigger deep dive into it before I like would promote a Kickstarter or something, but yeah, it seems interesting. Okay. Ismail, thank you for that. Ko said later that they paused it for all streamers, not just him. I mean, it's probably a good idea. Like, streams are one of those things where like you can't hide the game. You know, at least in edited video, you could ask the people to like cut out bugs or something. Like they could do something like that, which would be very slimy. Very slimy. But with streams, it's like people can see the game you're talking about. Like they can see that it's not ready. They can see the bugs and stuff. Like, what do you mean that you're going to do a bunch of sponsored streams for your broken game? So shocker, they pulled out from that, which is probably a good idea. I mean, honestly, probably a good idea. In Australia, we have an E instead of F. I can't tell if that's real or not. Maybe that's true. I don't know though. Going straight from like D to F, I agree, doesn't make sense. It's literally just because it's like F for fail. I'm sure that's why. But maybe. Can you cut out the bugs though? In an edited video, they could probably find ways to just show cutscenes and go from there. But yeah, on a stream, you can't do that. David, thank you for the 5. Hey, Luke, do you think Mind's Eye has a chance to pull a Cyberpunk style comeback? Or is the core too broken to fix no matter how many updates it gets? No and yes. I mean, I just think even if they fix the AI, even if they fix the gunplay, even if they fix pathing and like environmental stuff, even if they fix all of that, it's still just kind of like a mediocre game. You know, at the end of the day, it just is not that great. So it doesn't really make sense to invest all that time and money doing that. And the other piece, and this is why like you can't just throw out Cyberpunk comeback. Cyberpunk's failure was so significant because it was a game everybody wanted, because people were so excited, because there was so much attention on it. It was hyped to the max. People expected a 12 out of 10, and it came in at like a 4 at launch on last gen consoles, straight broken. Like it was just not ready. It was just bad. It wasn't ready. But people wanted the vision. They wanted what they were trying to make. With Mind's Eye, I feel like the expectation was at the peak 7 out of 10. And there weren't that many people that were hyped for it. You know, it wasn't the millions and millions of people that wanted Cyberpunk. So even if they spend 2 years building it out and fixing it, it's still, I don't think, moves the copies it needs to pay for all of that. You know? Most people didn't even know about it. And that, to a certain extent, that helped them because a lot of people didn't know anything about Mind's Eye, so they were more prone to buying it when they saw a trailer that looked pretty good. Not aware of like the scandalous stuff going on in the background, but you know. CDPR also had to keep their reputation because they were already a big studio. Well, yeah, they had a lot of fans. They let down a lot of people. And the other thing is CDPR is a publicly traded company. So they have like an obligation to shareholders to repair their image. So it's just a different thing. It's just different. I don't think it translates 1 to 1. Okay, we talked about that one. What do I think of Paradise Game Scam? I've heard of it. We haven't done like a deep dive on it. I should do that. I want to do like an iceberg. One of these streams where we don't have a lot to talk about. I want to do like an iceberg of the biggest like video game scams or video game fails or like flops in history. And we just start with like the well-known ones like Concord. And we whittle it down to like really niche stuff people may have forgotten. I think that could be fun. A fun way to fill in some time. Just go deep into the lore of these games. Yeah. Abandoned the Day Before. Yeah. Those are pretty recognizable because they're recent. Gollum, stuff like that. But I think you could get deeper and deeper, probably going back a little ways. Go back to like Evolve. Talk about that game. Go back and talk about some of the insanity with like Rise, Son of Rome, which was considered a massive disappointment at the time, but actually not a bad game. Like, it's not that terrible. Hannah, thank you for that one. Hey, Luke, finished 100% Forgotten City. Very good game. Thanks for the recommendation. Glad to hear you played it. I'm glad to hear that. And yeah, good job. It's a good time. It's a good time. Very good. There's a reason I recommend it to everybody. Whew. Love it. I love it. Would be a 10 out of 10 if they changed the game to revolve around shareholder value. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Now you're talking like an executive. I love it. Yeah. Gamers, you know, they whatever. Customers, what? Who cares? Shareholders. Those are the ones you take care of, you know? The Nomad, thank you for that 5. I watched the Mind's Eye trailer on mute and I still came off as one of the most boring and generic games I've ever seen. Again, I don't know who said it first, probably a lot of people, but somebody said way back when they first showed this off in like 2022, they said Mind's Eye looks like a game that people are playing in the background of a movie because they couldn't get the rights to show a real game. And I think that's kind of, that hits the nail on the head. Like it does kind of look like a fake video game from a movie. It just does. You know, it looks like the game Michael's son in GTA was playing. Not a real game, but like, you know, the generic ripoff of a game that's supposed to make you think of something. Like that's what it looks like and plays like. And it's too bad because again, there's a lot of talented people at Build a Rocket Boy who have put up with a lot of crap for a long time. You know, it's really sad, but that doesn't mean that we should just roll over and ignore it. You know, it's just, you gotta be real. You gotta call it like it is sometimes, even if it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's just, it's such a bad game. You can't even jump in it. To be fair, in God of War 2018, Kratos couldn't jump either. And it was funny that the God of War couldn't get over little like pillars that were just laying on their side. So to be fair, jumping is not the bellwether for quality. But it is funny that there's no, oh, he's old. Oh, it's a lore reason. Oh, who knew? It's yeah. In the next game, we're gonna hear Kratos being like, "Ah, I would go and fight Anubis." Oh wait, I can do this. Hold on. I think it's this.
Test. Atreus, I would run and fight Anubis. But my knees are acting up. They just keep cracking, and my arthritis is really driving me crazy. I'm gonna go sit down. I'm gonna watch Golden Girls. Gonna eat grapes out of the freezer, because that's what old people do for some reason. Call me when Wheel of Fortune's on.
You know, I think that's what would happen. I think that's what should happen. Next time we see Corey, I'll pitch it. Atreus does say, "Do your knees hurt in the new game when he grunts?" I believe. I actually do vaguely remember that. Yeah, I do vaguely remember.
My arthritis is acting up again, boy. Must be about to rain.
Oh man, that's good. Grapes from the freezer. Yeah, dude, I had an aunt and Uncle Willard. He was a very nice guy, had a marble collection. I remember that being very, very young. He passed away when I was very, very little, but like it was literally the first funeral my family ever went to, like as a family. It was the whole thing. But Uncle Willard, besides his marble collection, his big thing as a very, very old man was that he would always give us grapes that they kept in the freezer. And then like one time I was volunteering at a nursing home and like in high school, and they kept grapes in the freezer as a snack. And I was like, what? I was like, I had never heard of that before. It's only ever been in like really old people environments that I've seen frozen grapes. Are they a thing? They are a thing. If you have sensitive teeth like I do, it's a nightmare to eat them. But if you don't have super sensitive teeth, sensitive to temperature, it's delicious. I would put them in and I would try to pop them on the roof of my mouth. And it's just kind of like a super cold, tangy fruit gusher. Kind of like that. Because nice and cold and they kind of pop and the juice goes. It's very good. It's very good. Good on denture gums? Probably. That's probably unironically why they did it. Yeah. It's worth a try. Maybe give it a shot. Luke, how you doing, homeboy? Where's your drink combo? Bite size. I've been waiting for you to come. Don't misquote me on that. I've been waiting for you to come because I don't know if you saw this, but after you made a recommendation, I reached out to a certain goth bad boy. You ready? You ready? He left us a message.
Todd, do not screw up the Elder Scrolls 6. It's been ages since Skyrim, and if you can't play it or it sucks, we will have to use dark magic on Todd as punishment.
Todd. I should add that to the soundboard. Just Todd. You know, he didn't even try to read it before he filmed it. He was like, we're going in. We're just going straight in. I'll smoke you till you're dead. Great cameo, well worth $5. Yeah, honestly, now that I did it, I regret it. But what are you gonna do? I mean, it's too late now. At least it went to go and support probably Subway. I remember seeing a video where like he bought a Subway sandwich and it was he somehow found a way to make it like $40 or something. Just adding every single thing. 5 times extra bacon, 5 times extra turkey, 5 times extra cheese. That costs you $5. That's a bargain. Honestly, I'm surprised he doesn't charge that much. Back in the day, he would do wands. He would make wands and they were like, I think he started at $20 maybe. I don't remember. I think it was $20 he started with, but later he started charging hundreds. I don't know. Bite Size probably knows how much he's charging now. for the wands he makes, but he'll post them for hundreds of dollars and they will sell out in minutes. Like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. You used to be able to get a wand before he like lathed them, and it was just like a stick that he would go out and find and paint and stuff. It's crazy. Went to Booze. I got a wand for $24. Wands are now $444. It's only a matter of time before he realizes he can do that with Cameo too. I think if he started charging like $50 a pop, he'd probably still get them. Because there's a lot of people who just, they like Cobra. You know, after seeing that he's filming it on his iMac while he holds his phone, and then he films his iMac with his phone again to upload it to Cameo. It's a very, you know what? It's a very Cobra way of filming a Cameo. I'll give him that, but it's just, you couldn't fake it even if you wanted to, you know? He just finds ways to surprise you. Can we start getting Luke Stevens cameos? They reached out to me and asked if I'd want to make an account, but I frankly feel weird about it. Like, it feels weird to ask you to pay me money to talk to you. Feels weird. I understand, like, in streams, if you give a super chat, it kind of makes your message stand out in a list, so I will respond to it. Whereas other people, you know, when we've got 1,800 people in here, it's easy to miss chats, but I try to read everybody's comments. It feels weird to be like, oh, you want me to tell you happy birthday? Give me $20. You know, I'm like, come to stream. Ask me to say it in chat. If I see it, I'll go, oh yeah, sure. Hi, happy birthday. That's fine. Like, I feel weird charging money for it. But, you know, just come in chat and ask. You know, that's fine. It was cool. Cameos were 50, but I think he went for quantity over quality and dropped to 5. Also, I have a May recap video dropping very soon. Ooh, hells yeah. Hells yeah. That's honestly, transparently, but that's the only way I can keep up with him nowadays, are your recaps, because it just, some of it's unwatchable. Like, some of it, if it's not edited, it's just really tough. So you're doing the Dark Lord's work by sifting through that stuff, because my God, some of it's just like, oh, stop. But anyway. Happy birthday. I can't read your name. I sing. You know, maybe if you ask me for a happy birthday wish, provide a pronunciation for your name, because I am American and I'm bad at pronouncing mysterious words. Not great. My name's Jeff. I'm gonna be a dad. Guess I'm gonna be a dad. Dude, I saw that shirt here. I saw the shirt. I should have worn it. I think it was Noah who sent this. Shout out Noah. I'm gonna be a dad. Officially. I'm gonna be a dad. Wow. I showed it to Nikki. She doesn't get it. She doesn't think it's that funny. I think it's very funny. I think it's really funny. Did the Rockstar paycheck arrive? Yeah, what do you think bought the shirt? No, I'm kidding. Again, thank you, Noah, for the shirt. I know we joked about it when it showed up, because I was like, oh, he's gonna send a postcard or something. Nope. Way better. But no, the Rockstar check still hasn't come yet. It's insane. What's the point? Tell me I was bad mouthing this game for nothing? What? Let's see. Honest, the LS members Discord meme section has been popping off with the I'm gonna be a dad memes. So good. Yeah, dude, there's a lot. Yeah. There's a ton. Have I seen the new Last Sentinel episode? No, I have not. Thank you for the 2 though. Zeke says Henry can't swim. Great game. That is that just a reference to Kingdom Come? Because I've heard that meme for Kingdom Come. I'm assuming that's what that is. Unless it's an actual game called Henry Can't Swim, in which case I've not played that. Elizabeth, thank you for the 5. Been trying to do military victory in Civ 6 without declaring war on the hardest mode, and I've only spent about 85 hours trying to make it so far. Good for you, my friend. I don't even know how you do that. You're trying to do a military victory without declaring war. You know what? I'm glad you're doing it, because that gives me a headache just thinking about that. Kevin, thank you for that 5. The comparison to Cyberpunk is apples to oranges. Mind's Eye had little marketing and doesn't have the bones of a great game. I liken it to the new Saints Row game. That's probably closer. Yeah, it's just in one case, or in both cases, there's just not really interest to begin with. And that's the part that they can't really easily get over. You can update the game, make the game better, but if people didn't care to begin with, there's just not much you can do, you know? Red Dead 2 60 FPS update. Yeah, allegedly it's going to happen by the end of the year. That's the expectation. Looks like it's going to happen. Let's talk about this real quick. News segment. I forgot I changed it. I'm so sorry. That was Kratos. New segment. That was weird. I apologize. Holla. Dragon Age. Okay. Let's talk about it. Jason Schreier just posted his autopsy. You know what? YouTube probably won't like it if I start a video that way. Not YouTube. I'm going to try this again. Hey guys, let's talk about this. New segment. Jason Schreier just posted his breakdown of what happened with Dragon Age. He does this with every game that has, let's just say, like a problematic launch. He goes through, interviews a bunch of devs and discusses it. It's very, very interesting. It's very, very interesting. But basically, he wrote this article, posted it to Bloomberg early this morning, and it goes through what happened with Dragon Age. Now, what's fascinating is Dragon Age, people were saying there were lots of people rooting for this game to fail. And I do think that there was an element of the gaming industry, or maybe these like gaming, what do they call them? Tourists, where that was happening. Because there were a lot of people who were like, it's woke, it's going to fail. And, those people wanted it to fail. But I think a lot of RPG fans were hoping for it to do well. They were hoping for it to see a resurgence, for BioWare to be back, for us to have not just Larian and CDPR in the RPG space, but also to have BioWare coming back. And that was the hope, was that they would come back and blow people away. Didn't really happen for many reasons, as I'm sure he's going to discuss here, but it was not just a super clear-cut explanation for why the game failed. In my opinion, I think it was kind of multifaceted. People, for one, were very skeptical of the game at the outset. 2, things they did at the very end of the marketing campaign did not exactly instill confidence. For example, they told a bunch of YouTubers and streamers they would provide them review codes. And those YouTubers and streamers told their audiences, I will do a review of the game. And then what happened? They didn't send out the codes. It happened with me. They said, we'll send you a review code. I said, great. You don't have to. But if you do, that's great. And I told you guys, I'm going to get a review code. We'll talk about it. We'll review all of this. And then they just didn't. At all. It was really bizarre. And so a lot of you guys were like, that's kind of a red flag. Why don't they want my preferred reviewer to see what the game has to offer? That's just weird. It seems like they're trying to control it and control the narrative. And so, eventually the game launches, and some of the reviews, namely Skill Ups, went pretty viral, did 1 or 2 million views. And it popped off because it was quite critical. It was quite critical, mostly around the writing. And that was something that was pretty, I think, instrumental in the failure of the game. We'll see if Jason kind of agrees with that. I suspect maybe he doesn't. But the writing was really where the game started to fall apart for me. I thought that some of the opening sections were really solid. Graphically, the game was really good. It was really polished as well, performed really, really well, and had a lot of things going for it. But the writing was atrocious. Like, it was atrocious. It was really, really bad. So let's see. Let's see what he says. In early November, on the eve of the crucial holiday shopping season, staffers at the video game studio BioWare were feeling optimistic, as I think they should have. Just transparently, I think the game was looking pretty good at that point, based on what we had seen, which was not everything, of course. After an excruciating development cycle, they had finally released their latest game, Dragon Age the Veilguard, and the early reception was largely positive. The role-playing game was topping sales charts on Steam, and solid, if not spectacular, reviews were rolling in. Reviews that were very carefully, or maybe not orchestrated is the right word. They were like cherry picked. They selected reviewers and outlets that they thought they would stand the best chance with, which is like a manipulated Metacritic score. I don't personally like that. I don't think they should do that. I think they should send it to as many reviewers as they can, or none at all. I just don't understand why we should tolerate cherry picking reviewers. Like, if Kojima's gonna ask for people to review his game and he's only giving it to like diehard fanboys, that doesn't make me think the Metacritic is that fair or indicative of the actual quality of the game for like the average consumer, right? Like, it just, I don't think this is even that scandalous of a thing to say, but maybe it is. Maybe I'm crazy. But in the weeks that followed, the early buzz cooled as players delved deeper into the fantasy world, and some BioWare employees grew anxious. For months, everyone at the subsidiary of video game publisher Electronic Arts had been under intense pressure. The studio's previous two games, Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem, had flopped catastrophically, really. And there were rumors that if Dragon Age underperformed, BioWare might become another one of EA's many casualties, and just be shut down. Not long after Christmas, the bad news surfaced. EA announced in January that the new Dragon Age had only reached 1.5 million players, missing the company's expectations by 50%. The holiday performance of another recently released title, EA Sports FC 2025, was also subpar, compounding the problem. As a result of the struggles, EA Chief Executive Officer Andrew Wilson explained that the company would be significantly lowering its sales forecast for the fiscal year ahead. EA's share price promptly plunged 18%. What's crazy, and this is the other piece that I think is important to remember, curated. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Curated. That's it. Thank you. I don't think that there was ever going to be a situation where Dragon Age was like actually truly profitable. Personally, I just don't see it. This game was in development hell for ages, as he'll describe. And if you look at the total budget and the money spent on this Dragon Age project, while it was a multiplayer game and then back to single player, etc., I don't think that they were ever going to recoup that cost. EA wanted to hit a certain sales target. They wanted to get some money flowing back in, but I don't think they were ever going to reach the point where it was going to be profitable. They just wanted to only lose this amount of money. The problem for them is that they're like, yeah, we expected 3 million units. We only achieved 1.5. And they said players. We don't even know how many units they sold. What they said was they only engaged 1.5 million players in their earnings call. And who knows what that means? You engaged player. Could be players playing on the same copy. Could be players who played and then returned the game. Who knows? But either way, it's kind of slippery language, What ultimately matters is their expectations and the money that was generated. Just why when Ubisoft was saying that, we achieved this many players, that doesn't tell you anything. What matters is how much money they're spending, okay? Because if the players got the game for free, that doesn't matter. If they're also spending $100 in microtransactions, ooh, that's good. So it's all about like the actual metrics that matter to the company. The player count doesn't really matter. What matters is the money coming in, whether they hit the expected player counts, which then in turn can indicate how much money they'll generate. And in this case, they missed that. And in the case of AC Shadows, apparently that game made more money than they expected for that number of players. So it just tells me I think people were spending more on microtransactions and like the map packs because people don't want to play the game. I've never understood that. I'm sorry, slight diatribe. If you buy a game to play it, why are you buying microtransactions to skip parts of it? You know, like, oh, I bought this game. I'm going to explore. Oh, a microtransaction to tell me where all the best loot is. I'll do that. It's part of the game. Play the game. What are we doing? Like, it just drives me crazy. It's the same thing with XP boosts. Why are you buying XP boosts? That doesn't make any sense. What are we doing? Anyway, continuing on. Yeah, you're right. This stream has been all over the place. Sorry. We're a bit crazy. Dragon Age had a high-quality launch and was well reviewed by critics and those who played, Wilson later said on the earnings call. However, it did not resonate with a broad enough audience in this highly competitive market. Days after the sales revision, EA laid off a chunk of BioWare staff at the studio's headquarters in Edmonton, Canada, and permanently transferred many of the remaining workers to other divisions. For the storied 30-year video game maker, it was a stunning fall that left many fans wondering how things had gone so haywire and what might come next for the stricken studio. According to interviews with nearly 24 people who worked on Dragon Age the Veilguard, there were several reasons behind its failure, including marketing misfires, poor word of mouth, and a 10-year gap since the previous title. Above all, sources point to the rebooting of the product from a single-player game to a multiplayer one and then back again, a switcheroo that muddled development and inflated the title's budget. They say ultimately setting the stage for EA's potentially unrealistic sales expectations. A spokesperson for EA declined to comment. This, I think, is clear. What you're going to hear as we go through the rest of this is that they started it as a small-scale single-player game. They were then forced to shift it into a multiplayer game. They then decided to transition and quickly turn it back into a single-player game. Like, the fact this game launched at all was crazy, okay? I'm amazed it exists, period. Because you don't typically have, like, double, triple reboots. It's insane. But that's what happened here. They go on. The union between BioWare and EA started off with lofty aspirations. In 2007, EA executives announced they were acquiring BioWare and another gaming studio in a deal worth $860 million. The goal was to diversify their slate of games, which was heavy in its sports titles like Madden, and light in the kind of adventure and role-playing games that BioWare was known for. Initially, it looked like a smart move thanks to its string of big hits. In 2014, BioWare released Dragon Age Inquisition, the third installment of a popular action series, dropping players in a semi-open world full of magic, elves, and fire-spewing dragons. And the fantasy title went on to win the much-coveted Game of the Year award and sell 12 million copies. According to its executive producer, Mark Dara, a major validation of EA's diversification strategy. And this is true. It's important to remember. Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year in 2014. It was actually, I believe, the first Game Awards that Jeff Keighley ran. Prior to that, I think it was with Spike TV. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Spike TV was who it was run through before. But it was the first Game Awards, and they won. They won. It's wild. That's right. Did not go to Unity, AC Unity. They did not win it. What's crazy to me wasn't Shadow of Mordor in 2014, or was that 2013? Either way, surprising, because that game has not aged super well in my humble opinion, but nonetheless, it won the award. It won the award. Before long, Dara and Mike Laidlaw, the creative director, began kicking around ideas for the next Dragon Age installment, Code Joplin, aiming for a game that would be smaller in scope. But before much could get done, BioWare shifted its studio focus and to more pressing titles coming down the pike. In 2017, BioWare released Mass Effect Andromeda, the fourth installment in a big budget action series set in space. Unlike its critically successful predecessors, the game received mediocre reviews and was widely mocked by fans. A few months after a disappointing release, the head of BioWare stepped down and was soon replaced by Microsoft's Casey Hudson. Oh, hello. Oh, dude, I'm still here. It's the wife and Orion. Dude, I'm okay.
He's okay. You see him?
Hi.
Dad,
I love you.
he's just working, okay?
Eat your popsicle. It's okay.
Scream crying. I was like, Dad. I'm like, he exists.
He's scared I'm gonna like leave for California again. It's okay, buddy.
Come on.
Yeah. Love you. Apparently he was upset and worried that I left. Yeah, it was a whole thing. It's very, very funny. Okay. Where did I leave off? Okay. A few months after the disappointing release, the head of BioWare stepped down and was soon replaced by Microsoft Inc.'s Casey Hudson, an alumni of BioWare's early formative years. Much like the industry, EA executives were growing increasingly enamored of so-called live service games such as Destiny and Overwatch, in which players continue to engage with and spend money, importantly, on a title for months or even years after its initial release, with EA aiming to make a splash in the fast-growing category. BioWare poured resources into Anthem, a live service shooter game that checked all the right boxes. And we all know kind of how this went. And this is what you see with BioWare, I think, is a steady sort of amnesia that hit, or a steady loss of identity. You know, they basically just over time started to forget who they were. And by the time they needed to remember, it was kind of too late, you know? It was kind of too late. How old is your cat? Hermione is... We got her right around when COVID was happening. So she's probably about 5. Whew, it's been a long time. Probably about 5. Yeah. Oh, and no puppy. Yeah. Well, like I said, he's still a puppy and he struggles with bladder control sometimes. So we're still potty training. He's doing way, way better. Still occasional accidents, maybe like once every 5-6 days. He's doing very, very well. But he's not quite at the point where I would bring him down to like the carpet. You know, we'll get there, but he's not quite there yet. Yeah, not quite there. Yeah, he's a naughty dog. Yeah. Okay. One day in October 2017, Laidlaw summoned his colleagues into the conference room and pulled out a few pricey bottles of whiskey. The next Dragon Age sequel, he told the room, would also be pivoting to an online live service game, a decision from above that he disagreed with. He was resigning from the studio. Wow. The assembled staff stayed late through the night, drinking and reminiscing about the franchise they loved. Wow. I didn't know. So when I read he pulls out a couple nice bottles of whiskey, I was like, wow, cheers to us ruining our franchise. I thought that that's what it was going for. Like, I have an exciting piece of news to reveal. We're going live service. But no, he was having a drink with his team because he was going to resign. That's crazy, dude. That's, you know what? I respect it. I wish that pivot never occurred, Dara would later recount on YouTube. EA said, make this a live service. We said, we don't know how to do that. We should basically just start the product or project over. This is the big thing. Like, EA said, we want live service games. You have Dragon Age. Make it live service. So like, well, we don't want to, and we don't know how. They said, figure it out. That's what they did. Former art director Matt Goldman replaced Laidlaw as creative director and with a tiny team began pushing ahead on a new multiplayer version of Dragon Age codenamed Morrison, while everyone else helped to finish Anthem, which was struggling to coalesce. Goldman pushed for a pulpy, more lighthearted tone than previous entries, which suited an online game but was a drastic departure from the dark dynamic stories that fans loved in the fantasy series. This, I think, is like where a lot of the lighthearted stuff with like everything being about friendship kicked off, and it eventually found its way into the final version of Veilguard. But I think that this is where a lot of it started, because a lot of like the design, a lot of the like questing environments, all of it felt very like live service-esque. not in a good way, very lighthearted, silly, not super gritty or serious. And I think it all started here. It all started here. In February 2019, BioWare released Anthem. Reviews were scathing, calling the game tedious and convoluted. Fans were similarly displeased. On social media, players demanded to know why a studio renowned for beloved stories and characters had made an online shooter with a scattershot narrative. In the wake of BioWare's second consecutive flop, the multiplayer version of Dragon Age continued to take shape. While the previous games of the franchise had featured tactical combat, this one would be all action. Instead of quests that players would only experience once, it would be full of missions that could be replayed repeatedly with friends or strangers. You all like playing quests, don't you? What if we just gave you the chance to play 15 of those quests over and over again? Come on. Come on, man. When can we expect to see OnlyFans calf content? Moving on. That's only for special occasions. You gotta remember it. Otherwise, if I come out here slinging calf all the time, you won't appreciate it. That's what I'm saying. You need to be able to appreciate it, and that's because it's rare, like a fine wine. If you could get a fine wine at McDonald's, it wouldn't be special anymore. It wouldn't. It wouldn't. Luke is right. I know I'm right. Damn straight. Yeah. Continuing. Let's also just give them a little bit of credit here. They put out 2 consecutive flops, and we're still allowed to make another game. The fact that this exists at all is insane. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But that's just it's wild. I think EA, to their credit, understands that BioWare, the name, carries a lot of weight. So they don't want to just can that and shut it down. Like, they know so long as BioWare is making a thing, that alone gives it a lot of free marketing, and that's worth something. I mean, that's not insignificant, because let's say hypothetically EA right now, like, let's even just say EA is looking at a situation where they have BioWare, right? And they could shut this studio down, just shut it down, and move the entire team in its entirety, like everybody, to a new team called Team CAF. Let's just do that. And Team CAF, they are the same exact team as BioWare, but they announce a new game, and it's like a new Mass Effect or kind of a spin-off game or whatever. It's a new IP even, whatever it is. This will get like some attention for people who are in deep, and they'll be aware of it, but it's just fighting an uphill battle compared to keeping the BioWare branding and just being like, yeah, it's BioWare. BioWare is making a new IP. They made Dragon Age. Oh, they made Mass Effect. Oh. You just, you start at an advantage. It's why name recognition and branding for a studio is valuable. And I think really that's the only reason they've not been shut down yet. I really do. I think that's the only reason. It's literally just for the name on the building. Continuing on. As the game evolved over the next 2 years, the failure of Anthem hovered over the studio. Were they making the same mistakes? Some BioWare employees scoffed that they were simply building Anthem with dragons. I mean, you said it, not me. The fact that employees were saying, I think we're just making Anthem with dragons. That's not great. That's not great. That's not great. Throughout 2020, the pandemic disrupted the game's already fraught development. In December, Hudson, the studio head, and Dara, the head of the franchise, resigned. Shortly thereafter, Gary McKay, BioWare's new studio lead, revealed yet another shift in strategy. Moving forward, the next Dragon Age would no longer be multiplayer. We were thinking, does this make sense? Does this play into our strengths? Or is this going to be another challenge we have to face? McKay later told Bloomberg, no, we need to get back to what we're really great at. But I think, you know, all of these departures, all of this, they know that there's just too many cooks in the kitchen. And at some point when you're just messing with something this much, it's just not going to ever pop off. It's not ever going to click together. In theory, the reversion back to Dragon Age tried and true single player format should have been a welcome news within BioWare, but there was a catch. Typically, this kind of pivot would be coupled with a reset and a period of pre-production, allowing the designers to formulate a new vision for the game. But instead, the team was asked to change the game's fundamental structure and recast the entire story on the fly, according to people familiar with the new marching orders. They were given a year and a half to finish and told to aim for as wide a market as possible. Wow. The fact that they even got it done at all is kind of amazing. Again, you know, it's wild. But what's also funny is the wide market. I feel like, you know, BioWare also with this game fell victim to like the lie of the like modern audience, the hip young audience that's just super into cringe dialogue. It like that audience doesn't exist as far as I can tell. I hear writers and I hear game developers and people talk about it all the time, and I've still never seen them come out to buy a game. I don't think that they exist. But games like Saints Row reboot, similarly to this, they said that they were trying to introduce the franchise to a brand new audience, to a wide mass market audience. And it's like, how on earth did you think that this was going to be appealing to a wide market and a wide audience? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? How out of touch do you have to be to think that this is relatable? It's really impressive, frankly. Because trying to appeal to so many people, they ended up appealing to no one. This strict deadline became a recurring problem. The development team would make decisions believing that they had less than a year to release the game, which severely limited the stories they could tell and the world they could build. Then the title would be inevitably delayed for a few months, at which point they'd be stuck with those old decisions with no chance to stop and reevaluate what was working. At the end of 2022, amid continually dizzying leadership changes, the studio started distributing an alpha build of Dragon Age to get feedback internally and from outside playtesters. According to people familiar with the process, the reactions were concerning. Ooh. The game's biggest problem, early players agreed, was a lack of satisfying choices and consequences. Previous BioWare titles had presented players with gut-wrenching choices: which allies to save, which factions to spare, which enemies to slay. Such dilemmas made fans feel like they were shaping the narrative, historically a big draw for many BioWare games. But Dragon Age's multiplayer roots limited such choices, according to people familiar with development. BioWare delayed the game's release again while the team shoehorned in a few major decisions, such as a choice of which of two cities to save from a dragon attack. But because most of the parameters were already well established, the designers struggled to pair the newly retrofitted choices for players with meaningful consequences downstream. And this is basically what happened. It's like when we went to that preview event, which frankly, I left pretty positive about. I was like, they might actually be on track. They might actually be doing this. But what happened was, if you think of the game's runtime like this, okay, we played like a little bitty snippet here. I'll just do this in green, okay? We played a snippet here, and we played a little snippet like here, and then we played this moment here. They told us this was all within Act 1, okay? So they said this is all Act 1, and these choices, this type of choice will continue happening because like right here, you know, the game flopped. I'll spoil it. He already spoiled it in the article, so I don't feel bad. What happens right here is that there is a point where you can basically choose, I'm going to save this city. Or sorry, I have to talk like the main character. I'll save this city. You save that city. You get to choose. And whichever city you choose to save stays the same. And the city you choose not to save ends up being overrun with like the blight. And it can change some, you know, environmental stuff, make it look different. Some of the environment changes and stuff like that. It's a cool moment, frankly. It's a cool moment. But it's like the only thing in the entire game that's like this. And we were led to believe that it was all like this. So the choice on what to do with like the evil mayor that we played here, and the choice of how to destroy the city, and which companion to bring with you so they get hurt, they specifically for the preview event chose the like 3 times in the entire game where there's actual choice to be made. And then they said, yeah, the whole game is going to be like this. Or they'd play it coy and they'd be like, we aim for the whole game to be like this. And turns out, no, like this is it. This whole chunk of the game, this chunk is literally just friendship. Okay? That's this entire chunk of the game is friendship. Rainbow hands. Like this whole chunk of the game is just about you grinding out like pretty repetitive quests with companions in order to raise their level. And if you raise their level to a certain point, they can then survive the end of the story where things play out in a linear way based on how you choose to like assign the roles for each person. And then this very last, sequence right here at the end is like, it has some consequence, but again, the consequence is basically just depending on who you became friends with here. And you would think, oh, maybe there's romance. Nope. One of my friends we play D&D with, she is big into Dragon Age, loves these games, and loves the romance in these games. And she mentioned that the romances in this were laughably terrible. Like, she tested a few of them, went back in saves and tried other ones, and they were all terrible. It's like, oh, things are getting steamy in here. Things are getting steamy. Have a cappuccino. And that's it. That's the whole thing. That's the romance. It's just, yeah, there's no booba, okay? There's nothing like that, okay? There's nothing like that.
R. Jones donated $9.99 through Super Chat.
Thank you, my friend.
Hey, Luke. I finally got home from deployment and I'm starting in KCD2 right now.
Oh, glad to hear you got back safe, my friend. That's fantastic news. Thank you. And you are in for a treat, my friend. You are in for one hell of a treat. I'll tell you what. Thank you for the 10. Thank you for the 10. And congratulations on getting back. And yeah, wonderful. Be honest, is that friend your wife? She's a bit of she likes the romances too. But she also was very disappointed in the romances. So both this friend and my wife were thoroughly disappointed by this. But point of bringing this up, the reason I mentioned this was because I just simply want to say what he's describing, where they have like 3 or they have shoehorned in choices and consequence. That's what these were. And it happened to be like the only 3 things they showed us at that preview. And so we left the preview thinking that's what this game was going to be, was just all of this. It was just going to be a ton of choice. Turns out they just happened to show us the literal only choices in the game. Okay. And it's really frustrating because it's like, you knew what we wanted and you had a little bit of it, but that's all you had. That's all you had. Yeah, there were like no calves in the entire game. It was a waste. Continuing on. In 2023, to help finish Dragon Age, BioWare brought in a second internal team, which was working on the next Mass Effect game. For decades, there had been tension between the 2 well-established camps. This part's fascinating. Known for their starkly divergent way of doing things, BioWare developers liked to joke that Dragon Age crew was like a pirate ship, meandering and sometimes traveling off course, but eventually reaching the port. In contrast, the Mass Effect group of developers was called the USS Enterprise after the Star Trek ship because commands were issued straight down from the top and executed zealously. As the Mass Effect directors took control, they scoffed at the Dragon Age squad at what they had been doing. They scoffed that the Dragon Age squad had been doing a shoddy job and began excluding their leaders from pivotal meetings. According to people familiar with the internal friction, they just stopped inviting the Dragon Age people to design meetings. They just were like, oh, we forgot to add you to the email. Sorry. That's so toxic. Over time, the Mass Effect team went on to overhaul parts of the game and design a number of additional scenes, including a rich, emotional finale that players loved. But even changes that appeared to improve the game stoked the simmering rancor, I don't know, inside BioWare, infuriating Dragon Age leaders who had been told they didn't have the budget for such big, ambitious swings. It always seemed that when the Mass Effect team made its demands in meetings with EA regarding the resources it needed, it got its way, said David Geider, former lead writer on Dragon Age franchise, who left before development on the new game started. Quote, but Dragon Age always had to fight against headwinds. Early testers and Mass Effect leads complained about the game's snarky tone, a style of video game storytelling once ascendant that was quickly falling out of fashion in pop culture, but had been part of Goldman's vision for the multiplayer game. Worried that Dragon Age could face the same outcome as Forspoken, a recent title that had been hammered over its impertinent banter. That's a nice way of saying it. I just read that. BioWare leaders ordered a belated rewrite of the game's dialogue to make it sound more serious. In the end, the resulting tonal inconsistencies would only add to the game's poor reception with fans. This is interesting because if they went back to the script, rewrote it, it's interesting because there are a lot of like inconsistencies in the tone in Dragon Age, and this does explain it. This does at least explain it. It's like, yeah, it's because they rewrote a bunch of it. And yeah, so some of those lines that we heard that maybe were really cringe were written like 6-7 years ago. But maybe some of the other lines we didn't even think of or notice because they were just not that way. Those were written much more recently. Interesting. So they were aware of the problem. They just weren't able to fix it. That's interesting. Okay. A mass layoff at BioWare and a mandate to work overtime depleted morale, while a voice actors strike limited the writer's ability to revise dialogue and create new scenes. This is the other piece. There's been numerous writers or voice actors strikes tied to like AI stuff in the last handful of years. It's also just generally tied to the games industry recasting people and all of that. They're like, oh, you're a voice actor or actress that worked on our games, but you want more money. Well, we'll just go hire a different voice actor or actress and they sound similar enough to you. The audience will never know. And then we don't have to pay you more. So there's been all sorts of strikes and stuff. And that also would contribute to this. If your voice actors are not allowed because they're in a union, they're not allowed to re-record dialogue and you need to do massive rewrites, you're just kind of screwed. There's just not much you can do. Like, geez, that's wild. But it does make sense. An initial trailer made the next Dragon Age seem more like Fortnite than a dark fantasy role-playing game, triggering concerns that EA didn't know how to market the game. When Dragon Age Veilguard finally premiered on Halloween 2024, after many internal delays, some staff members thought there was a lot to like, including the game's new combat system, but players were less impressed and sales sputtered. The reactions of the fan base are mixed, to put it gently, said Katie, a popular Dragon Age YouTuber. Some, like myself, adore it for various reasons. Others feel utterly betrayed by certain design choices. Following the layoffs and staff reassignments at BioWare earlier in the year, a small team of a few dozen employees, is now working on the next Mass Effect. After 3 high-profile failures in a row, questions linger about EA's commitments to the studio. In May, the company relabeled its Edmonton headquarters from a BioWare office to a hub for all EA staff in the area. Ooh. Historically, BioWare has never been the most important studio at EA, which generates more than $7 billion in annual revenue, largely from its sports games and shooters. Depending on the timing of its launches, BioWare typically accounts for just 5% of EA's annual bookings, according to estimates by Colin Sebastian, an analyst with Robert W. Baird and Co. Even so, there may be strategic reasons for EA to keep supporting BioWare. Single-player role-playing games are expensive to make, but can lead to huge windfalls when successful, as demonstrated by recent hits like Cyberpunk 2077, Elden Ring, and Baldur's Gate 3. In order to grow, EA needs more than just sports franchises, said TD Cohen analyst Doug Kreutz. Trying to fix its fantasy-focused studio may be easier than starting something new. That said, if they shuttered the doors tomorrow, I wouldn't be totally surprised. It has been over a decade since they produced a hit, which is true. And how many of the people that made those hits are still there? Not many. Not many. So all of this to say, it's not that shocking to see the story play out the way that it did. Some of those key tidbits that I found kind of interesting and I hadn't thought of before are things like the writers' strike, or rather the voice actors' strike, affecting their ability to re-record lines of dialogue. That's interesting. Didn't really think about that, but that totally could explain a lot of the, let's just say, problems that they had. But I mean, again, they allegedly are working on the next not allegedly, they're working on the next Mass Effect game with a team of a few dozen people. They're hoping that materializes and ends up being good, but we'll see. My guess is they're going to work on sort of an internal pitch and prototype. They'll show it to executives and they'll do some like internal testing. Maybe they'll bring some like Mass Effect content creators in to look at it and just be like, are we on the right track? Does this make sense? And if the reception is positive, maybe then they get greenlit to hire a bunch more people, because you can't make a Mass Effect game with 30 people. You need a big team. And right now they don't have those people. So I think they're going to have to work on the prototype, pitch it to the executives. If they get the green light, then they hire a bunch of people and they balloon up to like 150 people or 200 people. And that's when you'll actually see it. But it's just going to come down to that initial pitch, I think. That's the key. It's a miracle they're still around after all those flops. I mean, yeah, frankly, I cannot think of another company that has had 3 back-to-back flops that is allowed to still exist. Like, I can't think of another example. It's really remarkable, and it's not even like they saved Anthem and Anthem ended up doing well. And then they're like, yeah, we figured it out. Because like you could say Fallout 76 was a flop, but they also reworked it and apparently it's doing pretty well. Like they kind of saved it. So, but like Anthem's dead. I don't know, man. Ubisoft, we do meme on Ubisoft a lot. Yeah, they the thing with Ubisoft is that they always have like Rainbow Six prints money, dude. It just does. Assassin's Creed also just prints money. Not all the time, but Rainbow Six, dude, that game makes so much money. It's stupid. It's crazy. So we'll see what happens with BioWare. I'm not overly optimistic, frankly, but we will see. We will see. Don't forget Skull and Bones. Yeah, dude. Well, they're hoping to save that. They're hoping to save Skull and Bones. They're doing major overhauls. I thought they would have just walked away from it. And again, if you rewind the clock 5 years and you're like, hey, Rocksteady comes out with a game. Okay. PlayStation releases a live service game they spent $400 million on. And Ubisoft releases Skull and Bones finally. Which game survives 12 months? I don't think a single damn person would have said Skull and Bones. But Skull and Bones is the only one still standing. Still sailing. It's insane. Like, it's crazy. But out of all of those, Skull and Bones is the last one standing. It's ridiculous. But, you know, at least they're not just dumping it. They could have, and everybody would be like, yep, fair. But instead, they are sticking to it, and they're going to try to make it working, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's wild. We'll see what happens. I'm Deaf Not Famous. Thank you for the 5. You are doing the Lord's work of gaming, my brother. Just a $5 to say we all appreciate you. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, it's the Mind's Eye stuff has been fascinating to watch, because at one point, like a few days ago, I kind of paused and I was like, if Mind's Eye ends up being really, really good, I'll have to do like a lot of reevaluation because like, what did I miss? Because there were so many red flags. Like, there's no way it ends up just having all those red flags and actually end up being really good. But then we see, you know, often where there's smoke, there's fire. And in this case, there was a lot of smoke, and it's because there was a fire. Rarely you end up with a lot of smoke and no fire, and it's like, oh, they just did a really bad job marketing it. But in this case, it just was a dumpster fire, and everything, you know, everything turns out was pretty indicative of the final state. Iceman, 14 months. Oh, baby. Thank you. Hey, Luke, have you checked out Splitgate 2 at all? I played a lot of Halo back in the day, and it's a good time. I've seen the clips. I haven't actually booted it up myself yet, but I have seen a lot of clips. Maybe I should try it. Because my game that I used to pour a ton of time into, as I've told you guys before, was Apex, with like Apex Arenas and stuff. I loved Apex Arenas. Played a lot of them. Really grinded a lot of it. And so I don't know if Splitgate would really do that for me, but I mean, maybe I end up loving it. You know? Maybe I lose it. Maybe I just lose myself to it. No way will you spend hours and hours on it. I mean, I've seen some people that just eat it up. They eat it up, but I don't know. Yeah, Game Freak's new game looks awesome. I saw somebody mention the Indiana Jones DLC. I don't really have anything to say. Like, we'll see when it comes out, like if it's good. I don't know. That's, you know, I'm just like, yeah, looks interesting. We'll see. I don't know what else to say with it. You know, I'm just like, okay. Need more, frankly. Oh yeah, at Summer Games Fest, they had the banana guy from Fortnite. Jake Baldino got a picture. Got a picture with it. Wow. Look at that. That's interesting. Okay. Dune Awakens also out to very decent reviews. Yeah, well, I've heard a lot of really good word of mouth with Dune. I've had a lot of people who are like, you should play Dune. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The Fortnite mother flipping banana. Yeah, dude, he's just walking around. That guy don't give an F about nothing. Have I played Lies of P Overture yet? No, I haven't, but I have not put time into it yet. I wanted to play it on my Steam Deck on the way back on the plane, but I kid you not, my hotel Wi-Fi was at best about 1 megabit per second down and approximately like 1.8 up. So, how many and I don't know what it was. It was like, maybe we say 65 gigabytes. Whoops, I accidentally did that. Okay. Times 60 or divided by 60. I know how to do math. Divided by 60. Yeah, so like on my hotel Wi-Fi, it probably would have taken like days to download. Like it was very, 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 very slow. It was very frustrating. Yeah, in the words of this this meme, this is unbelievable. I'm out of words. This is unreal. Yeah, that was my reaction to the bad internet. It was terrible. I was like, I am. This is 2025. I have first world problems. I need my internet. I need faster internet.
TT Thickles donated $19.99 through
That's a
Super
great
Chat.
name.
Praise be to Todd.
Praise.
Seeing fishing for Fallout 76 and not a trailer for ES6 makes me seriously question the state of Bethesda.
Dude, do I have a picture of it? Fallout 76 summer Games Fest. Do I have a picture of the booth? Did somebody take a picture in the booth? Here it is. Okay, I mentioned this in the recap. I am not kidding. This was Fallout 76's presence at Summer Games Fest. It was like the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. They had a baby pool with little plastic fish, and then they would hand you a kid's fishing pole with a magnet on it, and then you would fish for the fish, and then hand you a poster. They said, we're going to be at Summer Play Days, whatever. This was their presence. Dude, at one point, Phil Spencer was walking around, and then they brought him over. They're like, hey, we need to promote Fallout. So he's got his entourage of people. They have the massive cameras following him around. And I walk by as he's like stepping into this little platform, and I could just tell he was like, who's in charge of this? Like, you could tell in his head, he was like, really? This is what we're doing? Okay. He was a good sport. He hopped in the chair. They did a little interview. I don't know where the interview ended up, but he did an interview and then moved on with his day or whatever. But yeah, this is, you can't really tell, but behind the tarp that behind the tarp that they've strapped up, this is like where the food trucks are. So the core event, I'm not going to draw like exactly the event layout for obvious security reasons, but if you think of like the actual layout of the complex as like a rectangular square, like they have a little outdoor area, let's just say like over here, that's where all the food trucks and food is. And Fallout 76 was like in the corner. It was like so sad, dude. It was so sad. I felt bad for them that this is all it was. It's like they got told, hey, you're going to Summer Games Fest. You're going to Summer Games Fest. Why? Well, we got to promote the fishing update. Okay. What's our budget? Budget? No, just that stuff you have in your backyard. Yeah, use that. Okay. Like, I feel bad for them because they had to pretend like this was anything, but it was sad, man. It was really sad. Yeah, their budget was 1,000 creation credits or whatever it is. They got 500 atoms to make the set. It was really sad. So yeah, that's why I'm also not. I'm sorry. How am I supposed to pretend this is not sad? This is sad, dude. This is sad. Okay, even if it's it's a fishing update. Gone Fission. That's a fun pun. Even if it's a tiny update for the game, you know, have a computer there to play it. Just let us try it. Anything. Or a TV with the trailer for the fishing on it. Something like that. But they were literally like in the back by the dumpsters and the food and with like literal toddlers' toys. It was just sad. It was just sad. Sorry. I'm not supporting the brand. I gotta stop. Bite me. This is sad, and I don't care what anyone thinks. This is sad and depressing. I'm gonna say it, okay? It's just sad. Anyway. Oh man. Look at that. Why are you even like, if that's all you've got, like, why are you even going? It's just, again, it's sad. It's just sad. Now you're on Todd's shit list. Oh, dude, I've been on that thing for years. I've been on that thing for years, dude. Oh, and I'm going to stay on it. They're going to set a restraining order for me when Elder Scrolls 6 is being marketed. I'll tell you what. Oh yeah, player counts for Mind's Eye. Day 2. It's already dropped to 1,000. I'm guessing a lot of people refunded it too. Man. It's not what you would hope to see, I'll tell you what. But okay. I think We made a good time. I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we did this. This was good. I was like, we're going to take the morning with the family. We're going to chill. And we did that. And then I got back. I was like, you know what? Let's go down and stream for a bit. And I'm glad we did it. It's been a good time. So here's the thing, fam. Tomorrow is what day? Thursday? Okay. Tomorrow, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do the podcast with Jor in the afternoon, like around 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then but I think I'm going to do like an hour pre-show is my hope. So I'll stream for an hour before the podcast. We'll do the podcast and move on from there. It's going to be a good time. Okay. If you've not seen it yet, go watch the video on Mind's Eye. I posted to the big channel. Go check that out. It's a video on a game. So go check that out. I did try it on launch day. Apparently I'm Australian. Launch day. So go check out that video. Make sure you sub to the big channel, of course. But until next time, my friends, much love. Much love. Terrorizing real quick. Thank you for the 5 to say. Thanks for the warnings and skepticism about Mind's Eye. Don't change your mindset. I use you as a compass on releases. You've not put me wrong yet. Oh, knock on wood that I don't screw it up. I'll try my best. Trying to keep a level head, you know. Until next time, my friends, much love, hugs and kisses. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.